All right, this is the Code Breakers. This is Paradox.
Yo, yo, and this is D. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, man?
Not
Sorry
much.
for the time delay. I was getting baby girl ready, so now that go.
Yes, sir. What up with you?
Man, nothing, man. Just paying attention to the festivities, man. Just keeping my head above water. Ain't nothing going on.
You ain't been keeping track of the news?
Of course,
What's
I
been going on
always
in the
do that.
news? Social media, culture, hip hop, country,
Well,
domestic, international,
I try to stay out of
sports.
I try to stay out of the Disney business, pause, but that seemed to be every everywhere I turned, somebody had something to say about it. So I just I had to get up to
You said
speed.
about
I
the
don't want to be
Disney.
Diddy, Puffy,
Oh,
Sean Combs,
oh yeah,
whatever.
entertainment. Yeah, it's his life. I mean, dealing with what it is. I mean, shit. It's his life. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't even care.
Yeah, I mean
That shit is so
I
fucking
try to
irrelevant.
dodge
But you
yeah, I
can't
mean
dodge
it's
it. You
just
can't dodge. You can't dodge the clips. You can't dodge the jokes. You can't dodge that, obviously. But
yeah,
I haven't looked. I haven't looked at it for more than probably 5 seconds, bro.
yeah, it's just talking
But
about an old
I'm not in
time that
that.
no
I'm not in
longer
that space.
exists.
I'm not in that space though. That's why. So I really kind of. It's all peripheral for me.
It's just talking about a time that no longer really exists, as far as relationships and how, people used to play it back in about 15, 20 some years ago.
Yeah, I'm burnt out on that shit. That's
Prior.
lame. I don't even care, bro. Getting too old. Hearing people
So,
say the same shit over and over again, but you don't have no control. So it don't even. It don't fit my fancy, as they say.
well, it just shows the pull. People are being pulled to a place that, regardless of how uncomfortable they are, they're being pulled there regardless. So, you know,
No, I'm saying it's always gonna be that. It's humans, it's male, female. So it's always gonna,
right.
it ain't gonna ever go anywhere ever.
Yeah.
But it's just the same. It's just that when societies as a whole have instruments in place to move the society moves kicking and screaming.
Mm.
And so I don't have much energy for it in the sense that it's just, you know, everyone has their interest, as they say. And some people's interest is relationships, no different than I think when those shows first come on TV, the soap operas was at the '70s, and then what are those shows called with Jerry Jones in them? Not Jerry Jones,
Jenny
Jerry
Jones.
Springer and Jenny Jones and Rachel something,
Yeah,
and
I mean, you can start with
that was
Geraldo Rivera.
yeah,
What's the dude?
Geraldo,
What's the Montel
Montel
Jordan?
Williams, yeah,
Montel
Montel
Williams.
George,
Montel
yeah,
Jordan.
him, and
Jesus.
but the old white dude that was married to Connie Chung, I think he was one of the first two, right?
Maury Povich.
Yeah, Murray Povich, and then it went to judges and
Maury
people.
Povich.
People like seeing themselves, and so as a commoner, I understand commoner. I understand that part of it. It's entertaining to people. That's why Judge Judy ratings were so high. People like seeing themselves really. That's why social media is so popular. You just seeing yourself. So I get it. And then you add the monetary value on top of it. It's you know, it drives the depth to pay people and make money off of it.
Yeah,
But
man.
it's not going anywhere, especially in a society that's open the way our society is open. And you can say what you want to say, right or wrong, and get a following behind it. But Like I said, I don't have much interest in it because it's the same old, same old. People basically complaining and whining about what they don't have control over. They're trying to find a way to have some control over it, or to at least feel like they have control over it.
Yeah.
And you just watch it. You just watch it all play out. You watch the system. You watch the system respond to it. If something's going too far or it's pushing too hard, it gives there's a backlash to it for a moment in time, and then it'll push on forward. It just gets back and forth, back and forth. We've been seeing that our entire life, but really for what 60, 70 years, maybe
Yeah.
even longer than that.
Yeah, man.
Who you can date, who you can't date, misogyny laws in America based off of race or class
You know,
or whatever. Whatever.
a fun fact, man, is that did you know that Connie Chung and and Maury Povich are both natives of Washington D.C., bro?
Yeah.
Crazy, man. It's just weird because I'm not gonna get in. That's a whole different thing, but yeah, it's just this weird stuff, man. They still married, if I'm not mistaken. Them two,
Yep.
they've
They're
been married
together.
forever, man.
50
Yeah,
years.
they've been married forever, bro. Yeah, so
Yep, they've been together, but
salute to
like you
them, man.
said, it's all of it.
Old newscasters.
There was a time where people had to stay married, and then there was a time where you didn't have to. That changed the environment. Then somebody said, "Hey, if I'm a man, I want to marry a man." At some point, that was not the thing to do, and now it is the thing to do. You can just keep on going. So I don't really. That's why I said I don't care about that shit, bro. You can put. It's so funny. You put Trump in the office, right? I think I sent you that text message that Trump's a feminist, and I said just pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has the ability to go back to anything. It sounds good, but I'm looking at Trump like, well, turn something backwards. It ain't happening. It's all bullshit, bro.
Yeah, man.
And nobody's even talking. By the way, and nobody's even talking about it. They're pretending that he's, something. And I'm like, I don't see it yet. I'm waiting for it. Got three, almost 4 years. I don't know what that looks like.
Well, he has signed massive executive orders where most of them are not going to be even put into place because most of them can't be executed any kind of normal way.
I don't know if anything he didn't put anything in place that has anything to do with what I'm talking about, which is promoting heterosexual white males or anybody else outside.
No.
That's why I call him a feminist.
No, he's not touched that. No, not yet. Not yet.
No, my point is that that's the reason why he got elected. That was my whole point.
Yeah, it's one of the main reasons.
And so he should. So he might be heterosexual. He might be, a certain way as an older white guy. He personally, individually, might be a certain way. But I want to see a policy or an executive order that he puts in place that can turn the clock back. And I'm not talking about getting rid of no fucking DEI because that ain't it.
Yeah, that ain't. Yeah, that you can't even.
That don't matter. No, all of that. It doesn't change anything.
Don't care. They do not care about that, bro. Yeah.
No, I'm saying it doesn't change anything when it comes to what the idea of him supposed to be. They just think the sad part is that people might think it's happening or they might even believe that it's happening. But let's see, can it be locked in? And let's give it 3 more years or 2 more years for that matter. And just watch things get reset again. So, because I don't know what he can do culturally, you know what I'm saying, to move something backwards, honestly. Because say if you don't have any more DEI, you don't have any more, I don't know, whatever everybody, CRT, whatever people are complaining about culturally. And I'm looking at that shit like, well, what does that got to do with them, making sure you promote heterosexual men into power? and to change everything. And I'm like, by the time that happens, I mean, his time is up. You know what I'm saying? He's hired a bunch of females, which I'm like, that's interesting. A lot of females in his cabinet. A lot of females he's promoting that's in Congress. And then he put a female. Did he put a female judge in charge for life?
Yeah, he did do that.
Just hired another
Absolutely.
female. The judge from from Fox 5.
Well, one thing he's going to do, he's going to keep those, he's going to keep those white, going to keep the women around him now. He's going to do that, man.
Well, fucking them is one thing. I'm talking about putting them in powerful positions like, you know, DOJ and all
that
type of
too.
other jobs. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, he's very transactional that way. Yeah,
It's poor.
I
It's
think
poor.
yeah.
Well, transaction don't have anything to do with him hitting women, though. I'm saying, I forget how he is. I'm saying it should be white men or men in general. Is what I'm trying to say. Transaction or not,
According,
is
yeah,
that he's not.
according to why
He's
he was
right.
pretty
He's
much
not.
chosen.
He's not the language. You know, I listen to him every single day, right? Every day.
Yeah,
And I'm just listening, like I'm just not hearing what I need to hear if you want to shift this culture into a certain direction. It's very interesting, actually, because I follow a lot of conservative offshoots of Trump. You know, like, you know, Liberty University, you know, just all the universities, all the speakers that they have on during the week or whatever,
and that's their
every
focus.
month, every quarter, and I'm listening very acutely to Christian values, you know, marriage, but it's still not hearing what I think I need to hear to make sure you're promoting men specifically. You know, I do hear people victimizing men and talking about that they need help, whatever that shit means. But as far as just making sure men are in charge and women are at home, or women are in lesser, making women understand we don't do opportunities for y'all. That's not a thing. And so, you know, you can chase DEI, you can chase CRT, you can chase a lot of other things, but that don't have anything to do with that, in my mind.
Well, practice the same thing that
tangible things where you're sending a message to women that you can't run anything, you can't be in charge of anything. You need to be focused on family and children.
Do what the Arab leaders do.
Thank you.
Mirror them.
I've been watching that all week, and that's been amazing. Amazing.
And it's a total different. It's a totally different type of
only men.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's it.
Only. No options, no conversations, no discussions, no talking, no confusion, no weird, no walking, no working your way around it. You know, on and on and on. I loved it, man. I so enjoyed being in the Middle East, bro. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a dichotomy that one of the things that is looked upon as going back to seems to be something that's unbroken there in a way. So
no, they're just not confused. They're not pushing
what I'm saying is they haven't been broken to the point where they're going to, you know, do that. They're going to include women into leadership positions to where they're talking about deals of global interest, you know, for their countries and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure there are women that do work for them, but they are not to be seen or to be in, you know, in those rooms where leaders are making decisions on the highest level, especially as far as the Middle East is concerned.
Yeah, he don't want. I want him to have that fight, so we can really see see where we really are as a country, because you can cover it up by talking about, you know, you need more men in the educational system, you need more men teachers, you need to move colleges to the right because they're far too left. I'm like, good luck with all that in 4 years. Good luck. And again, I don't know how you do it, and I haven't really heard anybody's plans of doing it. I just hear people talking. I just hear folks running their mouth, right? People on the internet running their mouths, making money. Everybody's running their mouths, talking at the common level. You know what I'm saying? But as you elevate up into the halls of power, I'm not hearing it.
Well, as the women are speaking about what it should be too, the women that are supporting this kind of movement or this kind of move to the more traditional, conservative, whatever you want to call it.
It's not happening.
That means that, but I'm saying
that means people who are already traditional.
They need to be, but that means that they need to be silenced too. That they need to basically go to the background also. Fall back.
They should be what do you call it? Self-regulating themselves.
Self-removing themselves. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean, bro. Yeah. They're out there saying it, but they're still out there saying it.
But they're not, bro. I'm watching women on the right who are conservative, traditional, quote unquote, stay at home, taking care of their family, don't work supposedly. But guess what? They're working. They have businesses. They're going to college. They're sending their girls to college. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this is backwards. This is backwards.
Well, it's the same problem. It's the same problem that the libs have with racism. It's the same thing that they have with the so-called traditionalism on the right. If the right is in charge of the House, Congress, many governorships, at least half of governorships in state houses, it should be a concerted effort to start to remove women out of those positions on the right first, and then implement systems to where we can shift all women culturally out of the academic space and out of the political space. Because the power is obviously in politics. The other power is to shaping the minds. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you want to work on it. You want to implement systems to transition them back. Now, I don't know if that means you have to figure out a way to increase male salaries and then start to lay off women specifically. And you can start them in the federal government. If you're a female, you can't work in the federal government anymore. CIA, FBI, all of the security departments, all of the, USDA, all that stuff, right?
Like your national security clearance got to cut off at a certain point. Got to cut at a certain point. Yeah, you can only go this far with that.
You can say at minimum maybe you can do some clerical stuff. Maybe.
That sounds crazy, by the way. I'm going to say it. I understand it sounds crazy saying it though. It ain't gonna happen. That sounds crazy.
You have to focus on de-liberalizing the entire American.
No, I get it. I get it from the point of view that you're coming from, but that just that's you're saying that this is what they basically elected him for, to try to start this initiatives of trying to get some of this done.
But you have to implement those initiatives. You have to implement those initiatives like at all levels,
or at least try
to where you're transitioning women back into the home space, back into creating families, back into managing the household, and making sure that the men obviously are have skill sets, etc.
Yeah, but that's not this country though. I get it.
Then start incentivizing marriage. You have to kill gay marriage. You have to kill all the liberal stuff. Get rid of all that stuff out of here. All that has to be outlawed.
It has to be outlawed. Yeah. If that's what you want. It has to be outlawed if that's what you want, bro.
No, homosexuality literally has to be illegal.
You got to get it. Has to be what it is in the Middle East. Period. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been saying it for years, by the way.
We got gay people, but
as you know.
They know what it is. Yeah, they know what it is. If you show that out in public,
you better go find your wife and do it in quiet.
Yeah, we find out about that. Yeah,
you get prison time.
Yeah, something's gonna happen to you and your family. Like, they're gonna be, that there are repercussions for that. All that. But the Allah, we are theocracy here now. We got the.
But the thing is that if half the workforce is women, you would have to put in a very aggressive system to transition them out of the workforce. It has to be
aggressive. But that's
first of all, you have to take the money away. They cannot have money, and you have to pretty much deal with the educational part too. You have to start to figure out how to, how do you make sure you defund any colleges that you know what I'm saying, give women scholarship. You know what I'm saying. You got to make it difficult. Is my whole point. And start to tighten it. Tighten all that stuff down. And it have to force them back into the home basically. So that means that go live with your parents, right? Because we don't do the opportunity. We're not doing the opportunity thing. So we got to change your whole process of thinking at this point. So that'd be it's a process though, right? It'd be a process.
Yeah, you want to shift everybody.
Yeah.
You want to.
You can't spend 70 years forcing everybody to the workforce. Then you got to spend another X amount of years, deprogramming that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That mean the country has to basically shift all the way.
Yeah, it'd be a radical shift.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
Because the biggest thing is
that's Handmaid's Tale kind of deal. What you're talking
about.
But
him being in office should start that process to see where the pressure's coming from, because you've allowed females to integrate into every orifices of the country. So to wind that down, meaning that you got to replace judges. It's so, sheriffs, mayors, like it's such a broad thing you have to attack. You should have, you could have killed it in the 70s. You should have killed it a long time ago, right? You waited until now.
60s, man. You see the right. 60s, but see what ended up happening. This, man, you know how I look at the arc. Include if you
double or triple male salaries by law, which would be a problematic for capitalism, that will allow women to stay home and take care of the home, or stay with their parents or wherever they're going to fucking stay at, right? But you just can't. We're going to narrow the entryways to the workforce, and we're going to narrow the entryways into school. So you can cap it and say, well, women can maybe go to the 6th grade, 8th grade, and you have to cap it, because even at some point you have to start saying, you know what? Even high school is a little bit too much. You start thinking about too many things, and you can do what you want to do. We're going to sort of have to start to tamp that down at some point. I don't know what the cap would be, 10th grade maybe or something, but you would have to sort of work through that process. College is a no, in my mind. That is a no. But but like you said, it would be a process. But he should be. If you're on the right, you should be initiating that process. So when he's putting in female judges, not just at the Supreme Court, but at the lower courts, he put in a bunch of females. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, I'm confused. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you? Then he's promoting. Then he's campaigning for females.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is going on here?
I don't know if people understand what you're trying to do, though. You're really just saying that basically, from what people's standpoint, the reason why they really elected this man was to try to get some of this stuff actually done. Like, this is a real thing. So,
but you can't do both. You can't in my mind. You can't promote men. Heterosexual men, you can't promote men. So I would even start to figure out a way to ban a lot of films as well. You have to really go after all the propaganda stuff. Yeah. So a lot of films that have gotten produced in the last 50 years is very anti-male, anti-heterosexual male. So you even have to figure out a way to either ban those or put some kind of tax on them, or definitely figure out a way to tax the shit out of Hollywood. If you're not promoting, you know what I'm saying? You're not creating movies that are promoting, men X, women Y. This is what it is. Any kind of movie you do, I don't care what you do, any type of movie you do, you cannot show movies where there's female heroes, there's female CIA agents that are like, you know what I'm saying, right? Or see those military movies where they put a woman in charge of the movie or whatever. I'm like, nah, come on, bro, stop it. Stop it.
Oh man.
And like you said, and even if you have to suppress the males that are outside of the white race, then that would be our sacrifice. So as Black men, as Hispanic men, as Asian men, if we have to take a back seat to white males, which we're already doing, quote unquote, that's fine. We would be willing to. I'm assuming you too, right? We would be willing to sacrifice ourselves to get things back into order.
Well, that's what they're saying that they're willing to do. A lot of guys voted for him strictly thinking that this is what was supposed to happen. What you said, that was a lot of the reasons why they said, well, "Hey, man,
Yeah, Then when I see Pam
Put
Bondi
him,
talking, I'm like,
put
well,
a
I'm confused.
Kamala.
Why is she up here talking about anything?
Man, I mean, talking big stuff too, boy. Woo. Talking real
Why
gruff,
is she
man.
even talking now? Why are you on the mic?
Oh,
And then he got a
give me that mic.
then he got a chick that's doing
Give
the
it to
damn
me.
press conferences every day. I'm like, why you got this female up here? I don't
Give
want
it
to see
to
this
me,
every day.
bro. Give me the mic.
Right.
Give me that
Yeah.
mic. You don't know what you're talking about.
You know, if you're not gonna put a brother on the thing every day, then at least put a good looking blonde haired blue eyed white male. You're not gonna put a brother on there, but you're gonna put some chick on it that's gonna do all your reports every day. It's ridiculous. And you know how I know, because when you go to Dubai, when he went to the Middle East, I'm like, that's utopia. That's beautiful.
Oh boy!
Because if you look at who he brought there, who they brought there, and who they obviously was already there, and who spoke and everything like that, I'm like, man, come on, bro. This is the blueprint.
Yeah.
And even, and like you said, even when you see some of the other countries, which they kept calling him fascist, or he loves dictators and things like that. Many of those dictators, for the most part, you're only going to see men. You may see a sister, or you may, like Kim Jong-un has this sister that's around, of course. You may see that, but when you look, even if it's a female that may transition because of bloodline, everybody else is men. When you look at North Korea, look at all the generals, you look at all the military people, look at all their staff and everything, all men. Russia, China, and of course the Middle East. And I probably throw Africa and some African countries in there too as well, I'm sure. But the closer you get to the West, and you move into the Western world that we live in, it's virtually the complete opposite.
Yeah. True.
And the propaganda has been so heavy. What's like you said, what's
so
funny is that you hear people talking about it, but I'm not seeing it, come into action yet. And maybe he's going to do it down the road, possibly.
Yeah.
But I would love him to come out and say, you know what, Hollywood, we're only doing men heroes, bro. You're not making no more movies with nobody else in there. They got to be straight men, mostly white. You throw a couple other ones in there, but they got to be straight.
And you're not even talking. So I just want to be clear. You're not talking about this actually going through. You're just starting the process, being more proactive with.
It's been 70 years. Shit.
I got you. I'm saying, like, starting the process and trying to really push back on the culture to kind of make America great again, in the sense to where it was before, and how it was, men first, no confusion.
Men first, no
confusion. There's two genders, men, women.
Right.
Family first, God, country.
Right.
That kind of stuff, that we're going to become a nation that leads from family first and God value first, then that's the way it's going to be. So white men should be the leaders of this, and that is where we're going with it. So everybody else fall in line after what we show to be what the real American values is. This is our country, at the end of the day. You can participate, or you can get gone. You can participate or get gone. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, this. I'm trying to understand the conservative mindset.
The thing is that he came out and said it. He said, we only going to recognize two genders. I'm like, well, is that it? What are you going to do though?
Yeah, that's more. That's saying that ain't that ain't it, bro. Like,
that ain't enough. What does that mean? Okay.
Yeah, that you got to go Kendrick Lamar. That ain't enough. It ain't enough, bro. Not hearing this. No, sir. Saying that, people gonna be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I hear you." Whatever that means. That ain't enough. You cannot just
No,
say
I
that
think
in the ether.
they don't get it twisted. There are people who are on the lower level who is talking that talk, but
Absolutely.
it's
And
kind of
mean it
funny
too.
that they're
And
keeping it
they mean
quiet.
it too.
When he was running
Yeah.
for office, they were loud, but since he's been in office, it's quiet.
Yeah, they
And
real.
I'm like, okay, so you want to get a few things done, but y'all don't really want to go the whole way, because if half your workforce is women, and then you have a lot of people who are non-traditional, who have influence and power, do you want that
Extreme
fight?
influence and power.
Do you want that fight? Because if you can ban gay marriage, if you can ban any type of thing that's not focused on heterosexual families and the idea of families, like you said, you will be figuring out ways to get the woman back in the house. But you got to incentivize her to be in the house. You got to incentivize him. You got to incentivize him to want to work and have her in the house. You have to start to teach those. You have to start to present those things, teach those things, etc. But your daughter can't have business. She can't be running your business though, right? Melania can't be running no businesses, no clothing, so whatever the hell she's doing, right? No. You have to lead. You have to show that.
Yeah.
Or your sister who's a lord, who's your sister who's a judge or whatever. Those folks should be sacrificing to show the way it should be.
And they should want to do it.
They should.
And they should want to do it. Right. That's what I'm saying. So they should be, like I said, like when we see in the Middle East and other, countries in that area. I hate to say that Arab. I hate to use the word Arab, but just when you see countries that are like based in the Muslim tradition, normally the women are seen but not heard, and that is okay. Right. That's part of the culture. They're normally
you have outliers. You always have outliers.
You have outliers, of course. Yeah, you have some women statesmen in certain areas out there, but I mean that is not the norm, though.
But the thing is that you can exploit them if you need to. If you have a hyper genius woman, you can take advantage of her building rockets, but she just won't be in charge of anything. You just take advantage of her, pay her some sort of money or whatever, and then keep it moving. But she can't be. No one can have a mindset of, I'm one day be in charge of something. You have to kill that thought process altogether. Because once you take that thought and you implant it into their brains, you get the outcomes you get today, which is people thinking that they can be something more than what they should be. And in a lot of those countries, everyone pretty much knows their place. Now, don't get it twisted. The liberal West, of course, is trying to implant those ideas into the females' heads in those places. They're trying to put pressure on those countries to liberalize and to allow certain things to happen. But I mean, they're doing pretty good. Look, they like they're doing pretty good to me. So clearly, you don't need to have both genders, out here slaving.
Yeah,
that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of educated women in the Middle East, but they still, like I said, they still are in there is a limit to the power or the power dynamic when it comes down to what they can and cannot do. Mm-hmm. But I know that there is a more moderate way of dealing with I guess the strict boundaries of what it used to be before. And, so as we go into the modern time period, they have been able to kind of coalesce and keep their culture intact for the most part while they move into the modern time period.
Right.
Yeah.
You're getting all the upgrades, right?
Right. You're going to still have to make the changes. Right. But you can still I think they know it's okay that they're going to ban movies, they're going to ban entertainment,
right.
they're going to limit speech, they're going to do these things, but they're totally fine with it. And it's just like we have released some. Well,
we've done the experiment, right? So. We've done the experiment. Would you agree? We've done the experiment. We've done the experiment. We've tried it.
You talking about America?
America.
Yeah.
We've done the experiment. And it's nothing but chaos.
Yeah, constant.
So you're gonna,
constant.
Chaos,
well,
because
really,
because you're trying to make a bunch of things happen at the same. You're trying to infuse traditional cultural and even genetic and
Yeah.
history of
You
human beings. You're
create.
trying to infuse that with this new idea of everything and everybody, and trying to
Yeah.
fuse it together as an experiment, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And
You
we've
create a
been seeing the
dual
outcomes of
reality.
it for forever. Right, right. It doesn't work. You
Yeah.
can't. It doesn't work both ways or five
Yeah.
ways or whatever the fuck we're doing
So
from
instead
a
of one
societal
nation,
perspective.
we
Right.
are a divided nation under one flag, basically,
Hmm.
because a lot of people have a lot of different views about what America is and what American isn't. And
Right.
it kind of conflates into this big hodgepodge of we're just dealing with each other because of the foundation of the freedom of speech and the right to assembly, and then our
Hmm.
democratic process to vote people in and vote people out. And that is only done when the culture gets basically kind of captured that it did this current swing of things. But as it swings back to whatever it's going to swing back to, of
That's the
course,
question.
then
Is it
that's
gonna
the
swing back, or is it all? Or is it all
right.
the show?
So
Is it
are
all?
we off the hyper are we off we are we off the hypothetical now? We're talking
Sure.
reality based.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Because
Move it up.
technically, this is supposed to be the swing. This is supposed to be the swing back.
Yeah, I know. I'm seeing it. Check
No, it doesn't say the name. I have to write what it looks like, but I don't know the name.
Are the names on the side of here?
Uh-huh.
It's an invitation, like an invite, like a ticket to go somewhere. But yeah, I think that
Yeah. Can Trump come out and say tomorrow? I need women to start going back into the house. Can he just say it? Just say that.
see. So let's
Don't let everybody else say it. Don't let everybody else preach it. Don't let everybody.
I
I
want
want
him.
you as the president of the United States to really put it out there. This is what I want for America.
He don't believe in that though, man. I think
I understand.
his viewpoint is strictly what he has been able to do. In my
He's doing
opinion,
it. He's doing what we're talking about. He's doing the duality thing. He's doing the thing where
yeah,
I'm following all men who are pro Trump, who are pro masculinity, right? I'm following all of them at the highest levels, and they're happy. Oh, look what they're like, yeah, get him. Look what he's doing. The man thing, right?
Yeah.
The football thing, like, yeah. And I'm like, well,
owning the libs. Yeah, owning the libs. I got it. Yeah.
I said, okay, well,
that.
yeah, he's doing that, which is surface level.
It's surface.
But he needs to be telling you. But he needs to be telling. By the way, I'm talking about people who we know. He needs to tell He needs to be telling your daughters. You should be telling your daughters though to stay there at home.
Trenches.
But the problem is this. By the way, the people that I'm talking about, all their daughters are in college or own companies.
I know. Private school.
I'm confused.
Educated.
Yeah. I'm confused.
Yeah. No, it's nothing to be confused about. I
now
told
you can,
it's the same.
Now you can say, well, I want to educate you.
The sex issue. The reason why this country suffers because of the political wrangling that we have found ourselves in, right, is because the hypocrisy burns on both ends. So the sexual component that you're speaking about, the traditional component that they preach about and that they don't uphold, is open air hypocrisy, right?
Right.
And it's the
so
same
retarded,
thing that we talk about. And when you go into it and reviewing it, it's just talking tough. It's just like people that go to church, but they just party on Saturday, party Monday through Saturday, and they go to church on Sunday.
Right. You know what's fun? It is so bad. It's so rampant that you can't even pretend, right? You can't. It's so rampant to where you have all these heterosexual conservatives who are closet gays. Like, it's so rampant.
Yeah,
is the problem too. By the way, it's not like it's a small thing.
You want to throw all the. I'm saying, you remember, you want to throw all of that sexual stuff over there to the left, but you got to understand that this can't get done without the complicity of the right. It can't happen. Cannot happen in this country. Which means that
because I'm gonna give you a very a very like micro example, right? We're in 2025, right? Shannon Sharp is 58, and at the time was 56, and he was dating a 19-year-old who's an adult by law, right?
Ooh.
The American culture, and I mean people on the left, people on the right,
And the right.
people in the middle,
Attack.
people who
Yeah,
are
man.
non-political, people who are cultural, people who are
We got
part of
hit
different
hard.
things. Why did the reaction of all people, it apparently from from an internet media television perspective, all people are condemning him for dating a 19-year-old girl. The same people who just said that we're not. It's like I'm because it's not even not traditional. By the way, it is traditional for older men to be. Older men would marry younger women. That's the
That's what it's been.
definition of tradition for thousands of years, obviously, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm like, well, hold up.
Right.
So which one is it? Like, when do you apply it and when don't you apply it? Because I thought because they was like, she was only 19. I'm like, well, that's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the same, from a left perspective, if you're the same people who are okay with everything, gender swapping, race swapping, whatever you want to do, whatever, all those things that they say from the far left, it shouldn't even resonate. It should be no clicks. You know what I'm saying? There should be no clicks off of it. The click could be like he maybe got set up, or maybe you can play that part of it, right? Well, he's not, he may have slipped up and got hooked on something. You can maybe have more of that conversation, but the bigger conversation to me seemed to be her age. I'm like, y'all, there is people who are promoting to say we need to change the ages and go down and be able to be with 14 and 15-year-olds by law in this country. Just groups of people in this country that are trying to make the age younger. And it's just a weird thing, like you said, because from an old school traditional perspective, an older man dating a younger woman should not get any attention. But for some reason, people were disgusted by it. Even people on the left, which was more surprising, obviously, than on the right, was disgusted. I said, that's strange. Even a Diddy and Cassidy thing, all of them, people have relationships. They do different things in their relationships.
They do different things in relationships,
yeah,
man.
They're both complicit in stuff. And then you can play the political game and try to act like you're the victim. Now, that goes obviously back from a left perspective. You can play the victim game. And that's what I'm saying, how it's all mixed up. Was my whole point. Because from their little thing that they doing, or whatever you want to call it, I'm like, this stuff, they're all in the same. They're all doing what they're doing. I mean, stop playing. What are we doing right now? All of a sudden, we're conservatives in Hollywood, in entertainment. We're all conservatives now. Come on, stop it. So it's like you said, it's a weird thing because it's always shifting, And now now Diddy needs to follow some rule that don't exist, that you're gonna just invent whenever you fucking invent it.
I mean, but we act like we didn't grow up with Hugh Hefner. But I'm saying we act like we didn't grow up with Hugh Hefner.
It's endless of names. He's a big one. He's a big one.
But he's the big one that we grew up with. Like he Playboy man. It was known. He was 80 years old, still banging 19, 20-year-old women. I mean, nobody said nothing. Everybody knew this was happening. I mean, and he said it.
He's probably the best example.
But I'm gonna tell you though, he said it even in the 50s. I remember when they show old interviews of him about how he wanted to live his lifestyle. He said, I'm a hedonist. I want to be this way. I don't believe I don't want to settle down. I want to have like a lot of beautiful women. What's wrong with that? Like he talked very sensibly about it, like it was a philosophy or something, right? He wasn't like crude about it, but he just basically said, that's legal. It's legal. There's nothing wrong with it. And he was already 50 at that time. I mean, shit, he lived like damn near 90. When did he pass away? He was older then. Yeah, he was older then. So he was just like, look, man, this is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be my lifestyle, and nobody said anything about it because it was what it was at that time. So yeah, it's. But like I told you, with us wearing that jacket, that central casting is just something about when we do it, Black men in particular, that is going to have a different energy behind it. It's just
can't stop the freak show.
So it's gonna be demonized. It's gonna be called freaky. It's gonna be called nasty, debauchery. It's gonna be this thing that's going to be painted on it that normally happens, everywhere else. So that's why you get this comparison of both and. Not to say that it isn't. I don't even know what you can call it anymore.
I don't know what you call it
either. It's something that's been happening since the beginning of time, that older men have taken advantage of younger women through the power dynamic.
Now that's the word you just said, taking advantage of, and
that's what I'm saying.
That's a very American. That's a very American modern mindset.
That's a very liberal thing for me to say. I get it. I understand it. But I will say this too, though.
That's how we've been trained, by the way. Is that boy or girl? If it's training, we've been trained and conditioned to think that way.
Yeah. But let me say it this way, though. Let me say it this way, where it can make a little bit more sense, right? So like when how we say things that gotten soft, right? Like how people get participation trophies. I'm just even going back to I saw one of my homeboys in the gym the other day, right? And we were talking about football. We was talking about how football used to be and how we used to practice where, there's no water breaks. You know what I'm saying? We get no water breaks. You have to run all the way through. Then you cannot have football practice for about 30 minutes straight without them saying, water break. Get you some water, get hydrated, because of the deaths that were happening. Remember, like in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? People falling out. I remember the Minnesota Vikings offensive linemen. They were running out there doing tour days, and that was on a professional level, falling out.
But I think if men are trying to be men, though, that's the sacrifice we make.
That's part of it. It's gladiator sport.
Right, it's gladiator. But you have an arm of, because we've gotten such a privileged country. You have a group of men and women, though, who look at everything, and if anything looks like it doesn't have to be that way, it can be done what they would call a smarter way, then they will implement those things, concussions or whatever it might be, instead of keeping us more, I guess you would call it maybe ignorant or more dumb-headed or whatever you want to call it, more meat-headed. We've been introduced to more of an intelligent way of doing everything. And man, you can say, is it good or bad? I think it's bad personally. I don't give a shit about concussions. I don't give a shit about taking water breaks, dying on the field in high school, whatever. Because they've been able to, you know why? Because what they've done is they figured out something. Human beings, like any other creature, right, will look for comfort. And once you introduce comfort, everything else just takes over everything, bro. It softens up everything. Luckily, we still have a relatively tough, I won't say the regular military forces, but some of our elite military forces, we still have the psychos there that will kill anybody, anything, and won't think about it, right? Luckily, to this day. But who knows how long? But who knows how long that will last if we keep going in the way we're going?
No, I think that may remain.
Now, by the way, because now I know how countries have gotten. When you do your research, as you have done as a historian, right? You study your history, look at your wars and stuff. You watch civilizations get too soft, and everybody's yelling it is too soft. You have to sacrifice citizens, labor, slaves, whatever you got. You have to sacrifice those things to maintain some level. We're not going into this fantasy world of utopia, which is really what the secrets are, right? Is that we're really trying to move this particular culture, but the planet itself, the world itself, it's not going to happen, bro. It's just not going to happen until you can terraform the world. You know what I'm saying? And move human beings to a whole nother level. And I don't think this is what does that, by the way. But you have people who believe it. And I'm just like, man, you could just sort of see where if you don't have certain things structured,
it's a balance.
And people are willing to sacrifice. But
I
see,
think
people
it's a balance paradox. It's a balance.
I think the balance. I think it's way unbalanced. Then what's the balance?
So like, even if you go back to corporal punishment or paddling in schools, right?
Yeah.
not to eliminate that altogether. Like certain things that we were doing were maybe to the extreme, or people took it to the extremes. That's where
But that's
the restrictions
the
came in,
balance is
because to fix something,
the balance
most
was
of the
to get rid
time
of it.
you're going to try to eliminate. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you. So eliminating everything wholesale, or trying to regulate it wholesale, like you get the coach, because some coaches did go overboard with it. You know, you got people running 2000s out there after practice. That's
I
crazy.
know.
So I mean, you know, give me 21s. 21s? What? And now, of course, they never go all the way through it, but it'd be just like, you know, running was a punishment. That's why it was like, instead of it being something that we did, like, you know, to get better and to be the most conditioned team on the field, it was all
Bro.
fear based. But
Yeah, but
what I'm
you
saying is,
had people who
it's a
we've
better.
known it. We was taught this, but we have history of knowing that people were already seeing it, you know, a long time ago, that you cannot soften us up. It's not going to be a good outcome. We have been told that our whole
That's obvious. It's
right.
obviously true. No, I'm saying it's
It's
obviously
obviously
true.
true, right? Right. It's
That's been
obviously
the
true.
historic cycle. However, we never been in the technological advanced cycle that we know of.
Right.
Maybe we ran into this before. Maybe it happened before, where we got so technology advanced that we went through a soft cycle and then things got destroyed and then we started all over again. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that is something that people say, that we have went through this already before, that this is a continuous cycle, that human beings are push and pull, you know, where we're yin and yang, where we're finding a balance. It's a
Where you're
balance
testing.
at the end of the day. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a,
people who are pushing things, saying, you know what,
so there are
it's
things
let's try
that needed to
to
be
make the
done.
country.
There are things that needed to be done to mitigate some of the things that were being mistreated or being abused, because things can get too far to where it is abuse, and it will cause another reaction. It will cause another reaction to happen. So that's, to me, it's just not knowing the way to balance it all out. You know, you don't have to go this far with it. We can just keep it here,
Yeah.
and not go to the point where we're giving this up, we're giving that up. So now it's called something else. So now that's why I was talking about the trans things. As long as that exists, we're strictly a liberal country. We're going to be an extra liberal country. There's nothing we can do about that part, because you're talking about basically eliminating citizens at this point.
Yeah.
Are they still people? They're still citizens? Do they have right to due process? Because then you're saying they don't have right to due process, which is a whole nother thing. You see what I mean? That's when you go to court, you lose these big battles, people start to get in their fields, and then all of a sudden it becomes a rights issue. And then you can include black people into that, because that's what I'm saying. We're getting included because we are the original part of that argument that gets leveraged. That's why people be like, well, how about you leave black people out of this? But you can't, because we are part of that argument for rights for everyone. You know, no discrimination, age, race, you know, sex, religion. You know the deal. You know the script. You know, and they read it out to you. And it's just basically promising everybody due process. So there has to be a balanced way to where we're not falling out over the extremes over these things, but people get triggered. They get raised a certain way, things are taken away from them, and then that's how their thoughts and their philosophy develops, and then that's what they bang on. So that's why immigration became a hot topic issue, instead of basically leveraging the courts. No, just follow the laws of what was already in place. Initiate that, make it more streamlined, fix that problem, instead of just blaming blaming folks for it. It's just become it's what I'm saying. It becomes too much
And
of a
maybe
circular
and
type of
tradition.
deal.
You know what's so funny with tradition? You know, it does. On some of you could argue maybe it holds culture back, but tradition has a lot of contradictions. And I think it like you said, it does leave room to expose those things, which makes it difficult to hold on to it in a more open society, because it is going to be a lot of contradictions, and it's not going to make sense, and you're going to have to sacrifice, and you're going to have to wait, and it's going to take a very long time for things to maybe get better for some groups. But that's the sacrifice that you're willing to do once you, like you said, once you see some of the experiment play out. You know, before that, you're just guessing, right? Oh yeah, we need to treat everybody the same. Everything needs to be the same for no matter who you are, gender, race, culture, handicap, whatever it is. You know, and it's like that's a good idea. That does feel right. It does
Right.
make sense. We should have the ability to do that. You know, we have a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of systems, but like me and you'll go back to. But the power is based off of warfare, nothing else. We have not evolved as creatures to some bullshit fantasy that you're talking about. You're living in your fantasy because we have a military. That's what I always find funny, by the way.
Oh,
And like you
absolutely.
said, and me and you, how far we got to go back? You want to pick World War I, World War II? Which one you want to pick? Like you don't got to go far back to where everything else is. You're literally selling. That was my issue more with the left, because they're literally selling and have done it a great job at it, selling a
Right.
fantasy. But it's under the protection of a lethal, as Kamala Harris says, of a lethal, savage, monstrous military, bro, and national security apparatus.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, to be able to be this soft, you're trying to find the balance. We need some tough guys to be able to, to be at the top of the tip of the spear when it comes to fighting, you know. But we need to be able to, at the same time, soften the society. Like you
Yeah.
said, in every area of society, it requires tremendous sacrifice. The slaves sacrificed everything, right? The immigrant labor sacrifices everything. Everybody's being mistreated. Everybody's being taken advantage of. Everyone is getting over on, and this system is designed, obviously, for maximum exploitation globally and, of course, domestically. And so you're trying to soften that by creating a tier step system, right, to be able to come out of that, either first gen or 5 generations out, right? So it's a great idea, and it has worked for a certain amount of people, for X number of people. But for that X number of people to exist, the fallout is tremendous. The war is enormous, right? So to say to maintain America, we've toppled 27 governments globally and created 15 or 20 civil wars in the last 10 years, right? Like, so the amount of death and bloodshed that has to take place just to be able for a child to want to change genders, it's interesting for me, at least, right? It is interesting. Or to allow a woman to divorce a man, which should be outlawed, right? Or to allow a child to be able to talk back to their parents and not get knocked out, or even to the extremes to where the government will come into your household because somebody's called child service. Child service should even exist. It's your family. You do what you want. You do what you do with them. And so it's the reality, right? You got to suck it up. It sucks, but they've taken all of that away, which feels great. Again, it does feel great. But what's so funny is that you see the divorce rate, you see the male, especially the white male, suicide rate, depression rates. The whole list of all the bullshit. All the bullshit of all the so-called horrible things that's the outcome of all this good stuff that's supposed to be. So it's just very funny. It's a very funny process because you can only do one. Apparently, you would think you could do everything, right? But it seems like if you focus on one thing, it puts pressure on the other, and it drives them crazy. It's just a funny thing how you can't. I thought, no, I didn't think. Watching it play out, you're thinking, well, okay, so the way things are playing out, the balance will happen. The balance will the balance will present itself. But it's either or, because we're genetically designed a certain way over millions of years, and trying to break that, I just think it's not going to happen. Unless you start doing some DNA manipulation stuff. I mean, it's not going to happen. You can't. What's so funny, DC? We can see what they're doing, right? We're living it. Obviously, we're experiencing it, but you can see what's happening, and it's like, wow, they really have done it. And the reaction of it the reaction in society is fascinating, especially when you tie on the economic pressures on top of it. By the way, when you put the economic pressure on top of all of it, it'd be different if we were all say getting, UBI checks from the government, and you're doing an experiment, and everybody's getting money, and things are kind of even with the money. People can survive, right? And then you're playing the experiment, but to put the added pressure on just standard living as a human on the planet, right? Where you gotta clothe yourself, you gotta house yourself, you gotta feed yourself, and you still have to protect yourself. So all of the same things that's been here for millions of years, you didn't get rid of that. You create little, you create little bubble areas, little silo areas where you can sort of kind of play a little bit to a point. But even that requires what? A lot of law enforcement. Am I right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like it's gross, bro. It's gross. When you really think about it, it's like you're acting as if what you guys have done works. But without that police force, without you being isolated into certain little areas, certain universities, certain high schools, certain neighborhoods, isolation, being able to connect globally with other people who have something, and then using different forces to create this idea, and then you add the propaganda with films and everything else. It's just a very, very interesting thing, because you talk about all the time, not even the warfare on the outside, but the everyday on the inside. Okay, you want to defund the police, and then the cartels run America, right? We're Mexico. So, like, even though we can argue that there's other cartels running America, right? We can have that conversation. You can have that conversation, but you know what I'm saying? Just on a base level, as far as the physical, aggressive, everyday stuff, the gangs be running everything. Period. And especially today, where people are even softer than they were before. Of course, the streets are going to be taken over. Everything's going to be taken over if you get rid of cops. And so you played that experiment a little bit. They tried to test that a little bit in Oregon and Washington, California, New York, and some other places. They tried even just to play with it a little bit. It's monsters in this country, bro. Millions of them.
True.
And they don't care about nothing. And we also import them from Central and South America, Mexico as well. I mean, you got monsters, bro. Monsters. It's almost as if nothing has really changed in the world in a sense. You're just trying to maintain what you have and trying to create, protective structures where you can create them, right? And that allows enough people to believe certain things, which can push certain ideologies, right? But when you still have massive poverties, tons and tons of gangs, murders all over the place, crime all over the place, and I'm not just talking about America, just around in the Western Hemisphere. People who want to topple your government still, right? You still dealing with with spy agencies and people trying to disrupt the flow of everything in your world, and you're not. So it's almost like nothing is stopping. Like, these things are still. I mean, literally, Israel is exterminating people, bruh. Real time, funded by America. Like, so you're trying to say one thing, we should be this way, but look at what's actually going on. It's fascinating, to say the least. To say the least, bruh. And Ukraine and Russia, for that matter, and other conflicts. It's almost like those conflicts aren't happening, and we can live in this safe, protective bubble and sort of pretend and play games with one another. That's why I was saying how so much doesn't really matter, because I know that without certain real things taking place, you can't play your fantasy. You can't be on podcasts, on the internet, playing basketball, in the NBA, you know what I'm saying, doing business, even on any level, right? If our Navy isn't controlling the waterways, you're not getting products like that. There's no free flow of commerce, bro. Trade is going to be problematic.
Yeah.
Because half your ship is going to be gone. They won't even make it to the shores. Prices will be out of control, and we can just go down that whole rabbit hole, right? But there's things that are in place that make you feel and think what you think. And like you said, since people don't care about stuff like that, they're more concerned about P. Diddy and whatever the fuck else is, whatever else they're talking about. You're only able for all those, for all the structures to function within this system. If it's not law enforcement internally, externally, it's our military, and then everything sort of plays down from there. Of course, politics and other things are in place, other systems in place, where to make things obviously operate smoothly. But you need those initial forces to then allow the next thing to take place. And I've been in areas that are pretty tough, and so if there's no law enforcement, I see who runs it. So I mean, I can't make it up, right? I don't got to drive far to see what it looks like on a microcosm level in my own area. So I mean, we can pretend that that's not what's happening, but that's the reality of it. That's what it looks like. That's the other side of it. And so you know what you have to support, and there, like you said, I think in that place there probably is a balance because you need warriors, right? You need people to do certain things. You have to still balance out some. You still have to have some level of toughness, some level of sacrifice. You have to have some percentage. But we're what is the military? 1%? Think about that shit, bro. That's insane when you think about it. 1%,
Yeah,
I
not that
think.
many people.
1.5%. That's insane.
Yeah.
Technology, of course, but that I think if 20% of our country was more into law enforcement or military, that would probably help balance more things out. To be honest with you. But when it's such a small number, people are so disconnected, and we're so well insulated and mostly so well protected. You just can't understand that. I think it's hard to understand because it's been so many decades, bro. People have been born into comfort in the millions, tens of millions.
Yeah.
Because even in some of the worst areas in America, there's no checkpoints with a tank. You know, you may have some local cops, setting up something, but you don't have no, you don't have the armed forces are on your box, checking your license every day. You have a sort of a watered down domestic version of that, but that is a very different.
Yeah,
that's very different, bro.
Yeah, very different. I mean, we have it in we see it here sometimes, but it's not on that, not tanks, no, not going down the local your local streets, not on an everyday basis. Nah, that's not something that we're used to seeing. Nah. Even though police are sort of like that is sort of the way that they run it in a way. But no, not the overwhelming. You don't feel that overwhelming feel of force, but it is there though. The protectionism of certain communities are there. You can extrapolate the protection of certain neighborhoods strictly by how they feel. How the streets are. So yeah, I mean, so in a way, no, we don't have that, but in a way, we do have it also. So I guess it's not like overseas.
It's watered. It's watered down. Trust me.
No, very much so. I agree with that.
Watered down, bro.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not.
Not many Americans are in fear of being kidnapped and taken somewhere.
Right.
In our country.
Right. I got you.
And matter of fact, when it happened, you see what happened. You see what's happening at the universities, right? So when it happened, look how they freaking out. Oh my God, you're sending folks to El Salvador. Oh my God, you just went and grabbed this student and just took her away because she has a green card and she's not really American. Whatever, this process, the Constitution, yada yada yada. She out of here. Yeah. She out of here. That's really. And think about how small that is. Imagine that if that was the norm, though. In some countries, that's the norm. So you really know your place. That's why they can go places like Dubai, and supposedly you can have, there's no crime basically. To keep it simple, I don't even want to get into the details of it. I'm just making a point that there's places you go to, and people are very, there's crime, but it's on a very minimum level. And people have talked about that in America our whole lives, right? It's like you look at these other places and like you do something, and the punishment is so aggressive. It makes everyone relatively on some level docile, right? Male, female doesn't really matter because the oppressive system itself, if you want to call it that, is creating order, and that arguably is what's required for human beings.
Right.
And outside of that, you will have chaos. In America, we allow a lot of corruption, and in my opinion, it's allowed because if you I don't know if anyone's been smart enough to figure out how to come, to get out of that. Like you have to have some corruption. You have to let some things kind of happen, especially in capitalism. You have to let some things. Apparently, it's obvious, right? That you have to let a lot of things happen. To create businesses or just to allow people a little bit of room to do a little bit of cheating, a little bit of, even on a small scale, a little bit of corruption, because it's, it's the pressure of a society in itself. Being trying to pay your bills, and you're like, I'm not paying that. Imagine this. How many folks will be in jail right now for not paying their credit card bills? If we had what do they call it? because it's what is it, criminal and what's the other, civil. It's basically all civil matters. But imagine if it was
Right.
criminal matters, and you get locked up for not paying your bills. They just come get you.
Crazy.
No bankruptcy. You can't sell your properties. We're not taking your property. We're taking you. It's a different energy in the society at that point. So we do have some things in place, I think, to keep things, it's interesting, like I said.
Let's see.
And I do think that is what opens up the society, honestly, to everything we have now. Because it is on some level have some free flowingness to it.
Yeah.
We allow a lot of pornography. Think about all the porn areas out west and stuff. I mean, we let a lot. I was telling someone, I said, that these what is it, IPSs, ISPs, whatever you call them, internet service providers.
Mm-hmm.
They could shut stuff off.
I know. Yeah.
You won't get anything.
You
won't get illegal movies. You won't get porn. Mm-hmm. All that stuff can be closed off. Really.
Yep.
We let those things take place. All these sex houses, torture chambers, and on that people know about.
Yeah.
They let it happen.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you would convict but then you would put a person like Diddy or Mike, one of these guys who's in in media, whatever. You would put them on a spear and use them as an example and say, look at what we're doing. Just like when they catch. It's like when they say, I think like one of the I forget the chick name who does the drug shit. She was like, oh yeah, we caught all these fentanyls and we caught 1 million pounds. I said, bro, come on. It's like 0.1%. Stop playing. Y'all doing the same thing they've been doing for 80 years with the whole, how they lay it all out. Like Trump put all the faces of the illegals on the White House lawn. They put all the fentanyl out. We got these many guns, and I said, come on, y'all gotta stop it. Stop the dog and pony shows. But it does make people feel, like I say, even with Trump being in office, it makes you feel a certain way. But it's the execution happen. Some people argue, and I know you've known this. We've known this forever. Is that maybe 20% of our economy is drug based. Is the illegal drug business.
Right.
So you really gonna shut the drugs down? No. Because it's a big part of our economy. We just don't talk about it. Billions and billions of dollars, not trillions. So your point, like you said, so that's like you said, that's kind of the hard part, because it's like, well, if you kind of know a little bit more information, it's kind of like, well, I know you're playing with me a little bit here. I know you're trying to make the society feel a certain way, but can you truly transition a society like this without doing extremely aggressive, and I mean really tough, aggressive things? Trump's not doing that, bro. Not happening.
Nah, he's not doing that. Not
Dog and pony show. Dog and pony show.
Right.
You can ban all the books you want. You can ban books. You can replace the Library of Congress woman or whatever, right? Because whatever, you can say all the things that you want to do this week, whatever they did this week, right? I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna tell you when I know it's something big is when the society itself really turns up. I mean, really turns up, and I'm like, oh, it's not happening yet. But you got to ban. You have to ban some things and truly outlaw some really big things to really send a domestic message. Now, you can scare immigrants all you want to, but American economy, I mean, I don't know. Probably half the economy is ran off illegal immigration and immigration. So, I mean, I don't know how you're going to do that in real life. I would love to see it. You can close the borders down with some kind of order, but you're going to go around. Are you really going to round up to 10 million people like Steve Bannon wants? That he's yelling about? I'm like, I don't believe you.
Right.
I don't believe it. You can scare people all you want to. What's so funny, Ray? I was watching this thing at one of the conservative universities, and a lady got up and said, look, white woman. She said, I have domestic workers that work at my house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the guy, the conservative dude who was talking, I can't think of his name right now. He said, "Don't you don't have to worry about that right now. We're focusing on the criminals." I said, "That's fascinating." Because like, who's gonna do the work? Who takes care of your babies? Who takes care of your house? Who does things for you? And we can just go through the list. It could be cabbies, Uber drivers. It could be factory workers, people who work on farms, people who work. I mean, Trump literally came out and said, "I'm not going to touch hospitality." The entire hospitality industry is ran off immigration, bro. The whole industry, the entire industry.
Yep.
So how serious are you about anything if you're not willing for us to really feel the pain? Because doing some bullshit tariffs that they're all whining about on the left and on the right, I said that shit don't matter. The stock market going down 10,000 points, going up 10,000 points. It's a casino. Who gives a fuck? You make money up, you make money down. You can short stocks. You can put in, you know what I'm saying, calls or puts. Make lots of money either way. But do you know that America's value is about $500 trillion? Is my estimate, right? As just what value as a country that we have, resources and everything together. We have tons of money. The debt is only like 2%, 3% in my estimation. Some people say 10%. So I'm not worried about any of that stuff. I'm like, bruh, if you really want to do it, pull the trigger. If you don't belong here, you have to go. And you have to make these lazy ass Americans do work. Same in Europe. Cut it off. Your citizens are whining and complaining. Make them go to work and make all those Africans and Arabs and everybody else and Asians who come over there go home.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a whole political thing about it, creating division amongst people, creating racist issues amongst people, and all type of other bullshit, which YouTubers and media people make tons of money off of running those stories. But the honest truth of it is that shut it all down and then let's see what happens. Let's deal with the consequences of that. Fuck the market and everything else. If people don't belong here, get up out of here and make Americans go to work, right? Even if the so-called unemployment number is 4%, obviously we think it's maybe like 20-25%. I think really is close to the real number, maybe even more, and get them to work. And figure it out. But that's like you said, man, you both know that ain't the reality, right? The reality of it is that the global system runs off of cheap labor worldwide, hard stop, right? And it's been that way for how long, DC? What is it, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 8,000 years?
Too long.
Too long, right? So you built an entire global system off of cheap labor and slave labor, but then somehow because some of your citizens feel whatever they feel, you can get elected off of it in a democratic system. You can get elected off of that argument. But because they even talking about Obama, they call him whatever the commander and whatever, the chief and the porter or whatever, right? I said that didn't, but it didn't stop those other 15 million that was already here doing what they were doing the work though. You're just running game on me. Because you need a political thing to run off of, so you talk about the borders or whatever, or kids in cages. It's all distractions. Because to pull that real trigger is when you go into a hotel, right, or wherever we go. I wouldn't know it's real when they're not there no more. I know it's real when I pick the phone up and an American answers the phone, or when I go to certain stores, everybody's speaking the language clearly. That's just what's so funny. That's just not our country. It may be our country, like in certain states and certain cities. Certain towns and stuff. And I think those people tend to be the ones that are the most uninformed too. Because they'll come out yelling. So you live in a town of 500 people. They're all your cousins. You know what I'm saying? So I understand you don't understand. Like that's not America or the world for that matter. And then you look at even if you look in the IT space, some of our immigrant Americans have created something in our own country, the most advanced technology the world's ever seen. They're first, second, and third generation in America. They're not Europeans either, for that matter. They're from all over the world.
Yeah.
And they came here. Their parents and grandparents came here. They invented this amazing technology that we benefit from. and you're gonna turn that off. Like I told you, that's why Elon Musk freaked out when Trump said we're gonna hit the H-1B1s too. And what did he do? Can't do it.
Sure.
Him and a whole bunch of other ones, right? They all got
Yeah,
together. Bro. Can't do that, bro.
Yeah, it's just not the way it works. That's all.
Well, be honest about it. You're not producing. Americans are distracted with doing TikTok and streaming or something, right? Like we're distracted. You don't have the American intelligence levels to produce what you think you can produce. You just can't. I mean, you could if you reformatted the entire educational system and got us, and Americans became serious about education, and a lot of the social shit went to the side. You know what I'm saying? And we were really locked in on education. But we don't have to be. That's the whole point of globalization. That's the whole point of immigration and exploiting the world. Is that you can get the guy. What's the guy who runs what's that shit called? One of the biggest chip makers. I forget the name of it. For Nvidia, I forget his name. I think he's Vietnamese, half whatever, from Asia. And I'm thinking to myself, are you willing to lose what you know that you can get already by shutting everything down and just having Americans do it? I would love. Now again, I would love to see it. I just want to see the steps to take to get to that point. And once Elon and Jeff Bezos and Mark and everybody else came out and said, I don't care what you do with immigration, just don't touch the H1s. And there's some other ones on that list too that they have different statuses or whatever. Just don't mess with those. Close the border, whatever you want to do. But we got to make sure that we have a consistent flow of engineers and scientists coming out of India and other places to maintain our, to maintain our businesses. And that said a lot, by the way. And even though MAGA and other people on the right were mad about it, it didn't matter. You just be mad.
Yep. Agreed.
But we got time to see. We still have time to see where he had the fortitude to truly shut those things down and try to spin up and get Americans up to speed. But like you said, it takes so long to do that. It's such a shift in mindset. We have that. What do you say? With maybe 10% of our kids are really focused, really focused. But to get the other 90% to be just as focused, to where you're making school, you're making school almost. I don't know what you want. I don't even know what you would call it at that point, right? But it would just be there's no more playtime. Put it that way, right? There's no more playtime. Every kid once they're born, we start them very early, getting them into the system, and it's a serious process. There is no laissez, whatever, and we can do whatever you want, and if you go, you don't have to go to school if you don't. You know how we get all those entrepreneurial stories. I dropped out of school. I dropped out of school. I dropped out of school. I dropped out of this. I didn't do this. Now we're not doing that no more. We got to have everybody locked in because we need this to, to maintain our country. But as me and you both know, it's just too much history, especially in America. It's just too much history of using other people to get things done. To always refreshing the crop every year, always bringing in new people every year at all levels. And you just to be able to hit that switch. It just doesn't seem possible.
That's the promise of America, man. Literally.
I want to kill that promise. I'm on the Steve Bannon side. I'm with Steve Bannon.
Well, I mean, then that's the same thing that's going to cause the first, conflict that happened. Not the first conflict, but the internal conflict that happened before. We had multiple internal conflicts, but it will be a major one again. I mean, maybe that is what some people want to happen to do the culture shift that you talked about at the very beginning, to those extreme measures, because they're so extreme because of how far we done got upfield. Would take something that drastic to change everybody's mind to that level if you want to keep the Constitution. But if not, then you got to change everything. You got to change the Constitution up. You got to change it from what it is.
Well, there's some things in place now where you have people who are in certain spaces that feel like what they would call, I guess, globalist or international corporations and all those people to really start to break those things up, put pressure on them, get them either out the country or tax them to death or whatever they have to do,
Right.
to get things back in order domestically. Because their ability to be able to move around and do different things globally and have an enormous amount of wealth is obviously causing some problems. Has been forever, obviously, in this system. But like you said, once you start doing those things, then you're starting to mess with very powerful people who are basically, like you said, corporate thugs. They would kill you. They would hire people to kill you.
Yeah.
And you start talking about banks.
Happened before.
You start talking about banks, international banks. You start talking about banks and stuff, and you disappear.
Yep.
I've seen too many powerful people want to go after the banks, and then all of a sudden, they talk about other stuff. You know what I'm saying? They start to get a movement going. They start to convince Americans understanding the banking system, having cash, putting your money into local banks and starting to, get out of big banks or international banks, etc. Where to put your money, how to invest your money, get out of certain systems. Once you start saying those things, they target you.
I agree.
And I've seen it happen just over and over. I'm like, man, I wish that would be a movement. But every time someone tries to start that movement, they get paid off. They lose whatever they have. They get taken to court. It's always something that happens when you start really going after the flow of capital. And that's where it gets, like you said, it gets very heavy. Once you get into that conversation, it gets very heavy. It goes really beyond the cultural, regular everyday cultural shit. It really gets to a different level.
Yep.
Well, you're looking at how they're moving, how finances are moving around the world globally, resources, how they're moving around the world, and who the players are there, the players that are in there, and how if you affect their business, the consequences that come from that. And you can pick an industry at that point, right? It could be oil, it could be insurance, it could be finance. Doesn't really matter.
Agreed. Yeah, man. So do you wanna drop the link, man, maybe for like 30 minutes and then just try to get up on out of here?
Yeah. It works.
So anybody that want to come up and say their piece about some of the societal norms, can you politicize the culture? I mean, at the end of the day, can you change it to the point where you can get the gay agenda to reverse field? You can get the you can legislate and keep the country. I mean, can you do some of these things?
May not have to. May have to go to war internally.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean. That this turns into a philosophical fight to the level of where we got to decide on what kind of country this country is going to be. Who's going to lead it? Does this still exist up to that particular point?
Well, it is smart. It is smart by keeping us focused on culture, which is a massive distraction. I find that in itself interesting.
Yeah,
that is smart. It is smart though.
But then again, I was just gonna say this real quick. Then again, maybe the people that they think care don't really care about that at all. Maybe that's gonna come to fruition. And then we just keep the circle going over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, that could be the case.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm telling you,
I keep
telling you, the more I look at things, like I keep saying, the race and culture and some other stuff. I tell you, man, I just think it's less important, bro. The higher you go up, I don't know.
I don't think it's less important because I think
it's a massive distraction, bro.
Well, that's the reason why it's used.
The shit is really going on.
Yeah, of course. But that's the main reason why it's leveraged the way that it is, in my opinion. That race is used as that continuing buffer to, make some of these issues to be extreme.
No, what I'm saying is that while people are worried about culture And when I say culture, that's race, that's sex, that's gender, that's
Yeah, of
relationships,
course.
male, female, that's all the societal norms, the not being a Christian, more atheist, less Christians going to church. While people are talking about all that type of shit, the robber barons, bro, woof, the power players
Yeah,
are just having a good time in this country.
good old time.
And not
No
saying you
doubt.
can stop it. I don't know. I really don't. But when you know how something very basic where they'll say, well, when you go to school, you don't get taught financial literacy. That's an example of what I mean. Is that like even on a very individual level, how narrow-minded they train us through the system, and just how ignorant we are. And then you may go and become a laborer of some sort. It could be a doctor laborer or a mechanic. It doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
Your mind is to keep you focused on just that, or you just fall out the system, and that's just the end of you at the end of the day, right? You can't get the money, or whatever you do to get the money, you just sort of fall out. But you're not ever going to be educated in a way to pay attention to what's really going on. And so, race, sex, you can pick any type of social thing, right? Not hitting your kids or hitting your kids, whatever you want to pick to sort of deal with just the everyday cultural stuff. You don't really. It'd be different if it was a very basic, simple society, right? We just wasn't an empire, wasn't anything global, and it was just a small little place. That's one thing. But the amount of wealth and power that moves, and so you're worrying about some of these other things, and collectively, we probably should be worrying about some much bigger things and focus on some much bigger things. Like you said, the distractions are so enormous. It's hard to turn it off, right? Movies, TV, social media.
Oh
You
yeah.
just basically, and ultimately, the charlatans who are hustling race and gender and sex and culture, and be it a pastor or some internet person, they're just hustling it to make money off of it. And then people believe in it, and then they give them money or attention. But they're not going to change it.
Right.
Nothing, of course. But they can get rich and be a part of the system. I don't know if you know. Do you know Zateo? Maybe I think you heard of Zateo. The guy
I heard of
I
him.
forget his actual name. He had a show on MSNBC. They fired him. He's a Muslim.
Yep. Heard of him before.
He was speaking out against Israel. They fired him about a year or two ago. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he started a company called Zateo. Oh, he didn't start an account with it, like a YouTube channel, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. But he made it as a business, right? And they just made it for their first year. So he has like 400,000 subscribers on Substack, whatever, 300,000 followers on YouTube, etc. Right? He has employees and everything. And so he gave a speech today. Man, I can't think of his name right now. You know who I'm talking about? You know the Arab dude that was on. He's an amazing debater, by the way. I mean, phenomenal progressive debater.
Oh yeah, Mossad, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He is pretty. Yeah, the one who used to work at MSNBC.
He might be the. I won't lie, man. I watch debates every day, bro. I ain't gonna lie. He might. I hate to say he might be the best. He's top 3. He might be top 3, bro. I don't know if you follow him, but the way and
yeah, I seen him enough.
The arena, you don't want to be in his arena. Oof.
Well, you got to know facts. That's just that's the thing. That's the problem. A lot of times these guys don't know enough facts on the other side. That's all.
Oh, he cooks
you
both
got to be able to. That's what I'm saying. He cooks both, but I'm just saying, like the conservatives, when they go up against somebody like that, you got to
remember everybody's supporting Israel. Democrats and Republicans supporting Israel. The American government supports Israel. So he MSNBC is not conservative.
Right.
So he on everything. Right. So he ain't just one, it's all. Everybody ain't ready for him.
Right.
But anyway, he made a comment in his speech, slipped up, I think. They should clip it. And he was like, man, starting a small business in America is so difficult. And then he said this, it almost made me want to be a Republican. Right? Now this is a very very progressive person. He said I almost wanted to be a Republican, except for the white supremacy part. And so of course I was going to call you when he said it. Send you the video.
Yeah, he stand 10 toes down on that part. He really
Yeah, he
does.
said
That's
this
crazy.
down on that part. Yeah, I'm looking at him
Yeah,
like,
he
you don't
does.
think there's no, if you don't think the Democrats are white supremacists, then okay, good luck with that bullshit. But anyway,
I think he's talking about the
I know what he means. I know
blatant
what he means.
part of it.
I'm just fucking around. I know what he means. But anyway, he said that, and I laughed because remember he said he's worked for someone for 35 years, right? And so when you have been to college and an employee, high school, whatever, your parents are workers too, you talk crazy about capitalism, about businesses, corporations. You talk reckless. And so it was when you see it, I'm gonna see the video, you watch his speech, the level of how humble he had to be to start a business. He was talking about regulations and laws and this. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. You can see the frustration. He said I didn't get any seats for a whole year. It was all tied to starting the business, not doing the business, because of how difficult it is, because of mostly democratic policies. The challenge of doing, and California obviously is probably one of the best examples. New York as well is one of the best examples of how difficult, even with all that wealth, how difficult it is to do something. And if you're a small startup company, it should not be that difficult. Maybe if you're a big global corporation, that's one thing. You have lawyers, you have money, you have whatever access. But just to be a little YouTube channel, and he was stunned. He was stunned how difficult it was. You could hear it in his voice when he talked in that little section, and he didn't laugh about the Republican thing. He was dead serious about, like, we got to get rid of a lot of these records. He didn't say that. He let it go there. But for me coming from the right, I just kind of laughed because I said, yeah, if you look at it from a business perspective, not all the other shit that goes on in the country, but just the business perspective of it's just so many rules to get anything done, to build a house, to build a street, to fill a pothole. It's just rule after rule, big government at all levels. And so it was pretty funny. I thought it was just a funny little thing he said. And I was wondering, I said, is anybody on the right going to clip that, you know what I mean, and kind of tease him about it a little bit, and let him sort of expound on it a little bit more? It was funny though. It was funny. Made me laugh a little bit.
Absolutely. Do you have anybody that's going to come up, or there's no? Anybody comes up? Oh, what up? Who's this? Sound familiar?
J to the S to the H to the I-N-E, baby.
What's going on, man?
What's up, Paradox? What's up, DC?
What's up with you, man?
Chilling, man. What's going on, man? Hey, Paradox, I got a question, man. Did your homie ever heard of corporate Democrats?
Yeah, of course.
We ain't gotta go Republican to get to the shoot. Nancy Pelosi's getting rich right now too.
Word.
Shoot, Chris Dodd, all those dudes, Max Baucus, they all swimming in money right now. They left the Senate and got rich.
Big money.
Or richer. Yeah, man. How you been?
Chilling, man. Just maintaining. We trying to stay out the way and keep it moving. You know how it go.
Stay out of who way? Stay out of who way? Who ain't stopping y'all? You know me. I can go
What's up with you, man? I know, man. You always want the smoke. I say you always want the smoke, man. That smoke is always a good thing. It ain't.
You only live once.
Yeah,
You only live once, man.
I partake in smoke every once in a while. Yeah, that's
what's up, man. But you guys ready for the summer?
Man, absolutely.
This summer's already crazy.
The temperature is kind of out of whack a little bit, so I'm kind of trying to.
But I'm talking about that political climate, man. This summer's gonna be crazy.
Oh, you talking about that? Well, shit. I mean,
these dudes are cutting a lot of shit, man. This summer's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the country and across the board, man, gonna be turning up, acting out.
Absolutely.
That pressure start hitting, man. We're in a gilded age right now, and I don't think a lot of people realize it. And the world's not enough for these people. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I was
Absolutely.
watching 47 overseas with all these oligarchs, man, and I was saying, look, hold up, man, what is going on? Like, they
Yeah,
doing
they
this
can
shit,
give.
like they doing it right in everybody's face, you know. So I think we're in one of those times where it's like, if you holding on to liberal versus conservative, you out of your fucking mind. This is about power and the haves and have-nots. Period.
I agree with that. It's always been about power. That's
You
what
know,
it's
so
always been about.
yeah, because I was talking earlier and I put something in the chat room and I was talking about hypocrisy and things swinging back. Look, my opinion is this is a new normal. This is another level with another stage in humanity, and there's
Right.
no real swinging back. It's the same old thing, no matter if it's been, kings and monarchies or caste system. It doesn't matter. What you can throw a dart on the timeline of human history, you're going to see the same dynamic.
Oh, that's a
You know,
fact too. Yeah.
and this which makes this time more dangerous though. Feudalism, that's what's up. That same dynamic. If you really look at this time, what makes this time really dangerous is the technology. Because
Yeah.
not one time in human history where you can, just get rid of so much human labor so easily. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So when you have idiots talking about, yeah, he's giving tariffs, he's gonna bring businesses back, manufacturing back. Manufacturing, if it comes back to America, it's gonna be more automated than ever. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
So,
that's not what it is. Yeah, that kind
and if
of
you don't believe me, all you have to do is go online right now and look at um, automated ports. They're already installing the robots at the ports, taking port jobs right now.
yeah.
The guys that work at
Yeah.
ports, they got the automated. You know what I mean? So this is what's coming. And with AI and all that, we're not going to even need many writers and scribes around. So this is even threatening white collar jobs, the technology.
Yeah.
So we're in an era right now where there's a dash for the money, the crypto shit, all these scams and all these get rich schemes, and and just sucking up money from the government coffers. You got a guy out here running around on drugs, making $10 million a day, and the poorest white people in the country voting for him.
Yeah.
So, this is a really dangerous time because we have a lot of ignorant people out here who don't really understand what's going on, and they still caught up in race issues, racial politics. They still caught up in conservative versus the sticking to the libs nonsense, while the same people they voting for robbing them.
Stick it to the libs, man. As long as
Yeah,
they can
that's
stick
all
it to
they
the
care
libs,
about.
that's the most important part, man.
Yeah, if you can give them some red meat, they'll let you just have your way with the government, have your way with, just this shit is that. It's like, what you gonna do about it? Kind of shit. This is the most ratchet hood shit I've ever seen in my life. What are you gonna do about it? That's how they own it right now. We're gonna go ahead and play with the markets. I'm gonna stand in the Oval Office and talk about how, yeah, this guy right here made $100 million. We're just gonna say it right in your faces. What you gonna do about it? We control the Justice Department. What you gonna do about it? And I just don't understand the life of me why people are still having these stupid, small conversations about left and right politics, because it's bigger than that. This is really big. What's happening? I'm working in the government, so what's happening in the government has been outrageous. But I'm seeing how some of the white boys are acting, and when they're getting rid of IGs and EO offices, and they're starting to act out. So
Right.
the office is turning into a war zone. You can't coon your way out of it. Can't skin your grin your way out of it. I was watching Madden last month, right? And then this week I was watching this show called Them. I finally got around to catching a few episodes of Them.
Oh yeah, Dem is good, man. Dem is a
Yeah,
good
and
program.
what it reminded me of was that dynamic that we worked with. And one of the things DC that really hit me is how disrespectful a lot of Black people are in the internet. They don't understand there was a time where how we used to be treated that way. You know what I mean? There was a lot of black people who worked through that.
Yeah,
Create space where me and you can have the jobs we have. You feel me?
I feel
You know, they suffered through that bullshit.
I
You know,
feel
and
you,
it's
bro.
just a lack of respect for it where you can just turn around and be MAGA. You know what I mean? And I don't understand that at all. Now I got my issues with the Democrats, but they damn sure have better policies and a better situation for black men, you know, than what's going on the Republican side. Republicans don't care about none of that shit that the black dudes think they care about, as far as like dealing with the women, cultural issues. They don't care about none of that. If you look at Texas right now, they about to set up all kinds of fucking child support laws, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, who created these laws? The same people who created last time, the conservatives." They're gonna have you paying for fetuses, nigga. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they come with this crazy Christian rights shit, which is a leg of white supremacy. And then conservative women and liberal women, Republican women, Democratic women are all going to be using that same courthouse and the same laws against the men. I just find it ironic. You know, I think when these guys thought they voted for Trump, they was going to have a slave bitch. You know, I think.
Oh, what?
I think they thought it was going to be some chicks and chains and shit. I think they thought it was going to be like Chewbacca, not Chewbacca, Jabba the Hutt and Leia.
Princess Leia. Yeah. We sending them all back. We taking them out of the boardroom. We they're supporting us this time. We got them out of here. These black women can't talk no more shit to us. We on top. We on charge of you. Just as long
ain't nothing over there but
we in charge of you, man.
Ain't nothing over there but a bunch of nasty Masons over there. They're gonna be right next to her man, ruling shit, running shit. All right, that's what's gonna be.
Black men got way too concerned about what black women were doing instead of just minding our own business and trying to take care of things that we need to take care of on our own, man. And that make better decisions on who the women you date. But that's a whole different paradigm, man, because a lot of people, they can't get out of that trying to control something when you're not in the positions to
why is it
trying to control things. I look, man, we went over it a long time ago, man, with these dudes, man. We just told them, hey, man, stop doing this, and they couldn't stop doing that, and it was just like, there ain't no hope for the future. If you can't stop doing this, if you can't even have discipline to just do that and stand on your square, you're trying to change something that ain't gonna change, bro. Like, the women already got power over you. If you're gonna be thinking that she got power over you to kind of like choose and different things that you're affected by, then that's just your paradigm, and I can't shift it from that because that's been your experience. So for people that don't understand that, like me, you, Paradox, and a couple of other guys, man, when we talk to them, it falls on deaf ears because they're not looking at it the same way. We wasn't raised that way. Like, it was different. Like, dudes I wasn't checking on you to try to figure out why you got what you got with this particular woman. I don't care. You know what I mean? That's not my issue. Me and her relationship don't got nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? That's just how it was. But I mean, you know, like I say, now dudes want to police everything. Oh, these dudes shouldn't do this. You shouldn't date Pookie and Ray Ray. Like when that became a thing, I'm like, oh yeah, you guys, that's the descension into the zone that you don't want to be at, bro. That's a zone of weakness where you would never find strength in that. Trying to leverage what women decide on who she wants to be with, bruh. That is. I mean, trying to shame him with that. Try to shame him. You cannot shame a woman on trying to date you, bruh. Like, that ain't gonna happen.
But you know what bugs me out is that, you know, is the hypocrisy with a lot of these dudes. Because it's like, look, if we want to make, you know, a moral argument, right? That's what it is, a moral argument against how these women are getting down, right? Where's your morality? Because I don't see how being a passport bro and being a sex tourist is moral. You understand what I'm saying? I don't see how bending them over the couch and getting them on the first date. I don't see how that. You see what I'm saying? That means you want hoes. So, you know, how you gonna make a moral argument and then you not a standard bearer of morality? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you got to go out here and be a monk. I'm not saying. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, they want them to choose them, though. That's my point. They want to be.
That's not
chosen.
leadership. See what I'm saying? That's not leadership. Leadership
I
is being
know.
a standard bearer. Like for instance, in my house, you can't. There's no smoking in my house.
Right.
I don't have women that wear weaves in my house. I don't have
Right.
that in my life. That's just my standard. And I can't
Exactly.
control what other dudes do, but I know this dick, how this, you know what I mean, how we operate over here. You
Exactly.
understand me? You know what I mean? I know what turns
Exactly
me on.
right.
I know what I don't want on my skin. You feel
Right.
me?
Right.
I don't want to touch it. All right, I just don't want it. If you got a BBL, that's lopsided. I mean, you know, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, somebody love you.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna be me.
They
You
love
know what I
it,
mean?
bro.
But, so I don't have
They love
no real fight. You know what I mean? Because I know what I'm not doing. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm not doing. I don't want to sit Keisha down in a chair and chastise her about her ways. What I want to do is show real power. See, the problem is, DC, dudes are not caught up with power, they're caught up with pussy. That's the different P word. See, we work operating on over two different 5-letter P words. I care about power. You know what I mean? That's all I'm concerned with. Because what is power at its rawest, definition? It's the ability to punish and reward. You understand me?
Influence.
I'm not going to reward somebody who does not fit my standard. End of. I'm not making no exceptions. I don't care. I don't care how good the throat is. I don't care if you're the goat of throats. I don't care. You're not getting life because you don't fit the standard. Is that, you know what I mean?
Not in my orbit.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, look.
I'm definitely not paying for anything. I'm definitely not paying for it.
Hell no.
Like,
in fact,
I'm
you
definitely
bring
not
shit to
doing
my
that.
house.
So
my
when
daughter's
I started hearing guys say that I'm paying for it, and when you start going down that route, dude, that ain't. I'm not on that, bro. Like, y'all time that when y'all talk like that, bro. Like, hey, man, it is maybe I would never understand that kind of positioning, but yeah, when
from
they
Austin Holloman
like
to Dennis Sperling, they're paying for it.
Exactly. That ain't
all right.
That ain't man. That ain't no kind of manhood that I understood. What about you, Paradise? Did you ever understand that kind of thing? Like you got to pay for play and all that kind of stuff. I get it.
Absolutely not. No.
Come on, man. Stop being cheap, Paradox. Hey,
I'm paying in the lead, bruh.
Come on, man. Be more generous, Paradox. Come on now.
So the very culture you're talking about, the debauchery and all this type of stuff and the transactional kind of deal, you're feeding into it. So it ain't us. Yeah. It's you. Yeah. It's you dudes. So you the problem.
Make it only fangirls millionaire. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about? I can sit here. That's a perfect example, DC. I can sit here and tear those women down all day about how they're getting down. But who's fucking paying them?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, how the hell y'all got 75 million subscribers for this website? That's insane. When Pornhub is free. I said this on X channel years ago. Pornhub is free. What are we doing? What the hell? How does it even become a thing? I didn't even know it got that big until recently when I heard about it. I was like, what? How many subscribers? That's insane. If they paid $1 a month, that's 75 million a month at minimum. That's the state of men right now.
That's it. You can't be mad at women being transactional. Now, when it comes down to you, that's your relationship with them.
Yeah.
You set that up.
Giving them what they want. You're paying for it. They cannot.
You take the transaction away. Do you still have access to women? That's a good question. I'm just asking for a friend. I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to question your gangster. I'm just saying, if it's all if you got something like that, then you remove that particular portion of it. Then just see where you at. Then see how dry you are. See how long
DC,
you
I'm about to say something, and you might cut my mic. DC, you might say, I'm gonna say this. You might cut my mic. But I actually gotta give Donald Trump a little props.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. Okay. Because when he was running in 2016, I heard all these stories from these women he was paying that he got a little tweezer. You know, he got a little one. And I don't think nobody is looking at Donald Trump like, damn, he's fucking the shit out of these hoes. You know what I mean? I don't think you know what I'm saying? But this is why I give him props. And I give his whole apparatus of white males props. You know why I give him props? because that's not how they gauge men. They didn't care. They didn't care that he was knocking holes down. They didn't care that he was paying to play. They didn't care about none of that. What they cared about, DC, was power. They didn't rate a man and look at another man based on how much pussy he got or how good he was with the ladies. What they cared about is how they can make money with him, how they can get position with him. You know what I mean? And that's what he's provided those white supremacist males.
Yeah, but it's
don't get it.
it's a false premise because overall, yeah, you're right. True. That is what they're paying attention to. But I would say to the larger part that Paradox was bringing up earlier, that it doesn't hold ground because none of these changes are in place. Because if you look at it, then he is the ultimate feminist, and then he is the ultimate simp too, because he does pay for play. He does pay for play. He does pay to have access to women. He does do these things. It's not about him gaining access strictly off his power position or who he truly is as a person standing on a square. He's doing the simp shit. He's doing this. I mean, this is me turning it around, but yeah, you're right. They don't care about that because, of course,
we're saying the same thing.
They're soft at the end of the day, and they're soft on the female, and they're soft on the bitch. I mean, we talk about they tender. They oh my God, tender. Everything is predicated off their gaze, you know what I'm saying? And then you get mad. Then you get mad at somebody that don't have to do as much as you, and they get the same access as you, and even more so. And that you end up paying for. They end up paying them to be with them because you're going to pay them to be with you. You see the dichotomy. That's what I'm saying about this whole thing, and it goes into politics too. It's the same hypocrisy. So things don't get done because people are leveraging their talking points based off false premises that they don't live in their real life, in their real time.
At all.
These dudes are trying to be traditional and stuff like that, but they're doing all of these things that are untraditional. At the end of the day, it's exactly what Paradox said, man. They're lying to people and they can't even cover it up. So now it's just blatant hypocrisy, and it's just like, dude, what are you standing on? For real, for real. Like, at the end of the day, you're complicit. You believe in these things too. Just stand on that and just let it be about power. I'm good with that. For me, I like a good old power game, and then we can kind of discuss about who should and who shouldn't have. If you want to make it a complete class struggle, then we can make a complete class struggle. But see, it gets confusing when you throw race in here, and that becomes a main thing. Like, yo, we gotta salivate on the black male body, you know. And it doesn't matter what it is. So Shannon Sharp, we're gonna pounce on that. Diddy, we're gonna pounce on that. The kid out of Frisco, Texas, we're gonna pounce on that, and we're gonna include that into our dynamic, and then we're gonna include it into the larger dynamic of black males are dangerous, they're rapists, they're this. You know, look at them, they just greedy. I'm saying, but we're degenerates. So that's when the race comes into the place, and then that's what I'm saying. So that's how we can come central casting. We become the face of it, and these dudes that are in these spaces, you're not going to defend that. You're gonna let these white boys.
They don't get it.
I'm saying not only that, you're gonna let these degenerate white boys that jack off all day online, play with each other, showing. Just you know how weird white boys can get. So you're gonna let them do this in front of your face and say nothing? Come on, bro. That's where I can't stand on. I understand the political aspect of, man.
DT, Max, your question.
We didn't went too far with some of this stuff, right? Okay, we can have that conversation and have practicality behind it. But when you're going to sit up here and be hypocritical to the point of saying that it's all the libs' fault for the sexual degeneracy in America. No, sir. I can't do that.
I'll tell you what, I'm asking you a question.
That's a bridge. That's an bridge too far for me. Absolutely.
I'm asking you a question. So, I guess it's the test for masculinity. This is the most masculine thing to do, right? So, since we're not going to talk about politics or power, right? Let's watch Pop the Balloon for 2 hours, and and go over that. That's masculine. That's really this be real masculine. You see. And let's watch Pop the Balloon for 2.5 hours.
That's a great idea. I agree with you on that.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's what we're seeing. You know what I mean? That's what's going on here. This is coming from the people who are supposed to be about masculinity and being, you know, but you're
Right.
not talking about what's really affecting black men day in, day out. You know, and
Right.
if we
I
and then
agree.
you're weak if you bring up you know, any kind of racism when black men right now in the workplace
Yeah.
across, you know,
Yeah.
across America are dealing
The
with
women-
microaggressions and macroaggressions from white males right now.
Think about how far we done fell off, right? You think the power is from a woman that's on Pop the Balloon, basically choosing not to be with you for whatever stupid reason you deem it to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mad because they end up choosing up on the guy that they, I mean, it's so obvious, bruh, what the
Mhm.
problem is. It's just, it's like, you know, it is what it is. It's going to be
It's insane.
hypocritical. It's going to be double standard all over the place. You know what this is, bruh. Like, the signs don't lie. The signs don't lie. If you know that it's already, they're going to choose 20%, top 5%, 10%, or whatever it is, and it don't really have anything to do with income like you think it do, then that's just what it's going to be, bro. That's what it's going to be. You're going to have to do more to do what you got to do. That's being real with yourself. Okay, cool. You got to do more. You got to do more than others. But stand on your square, though. Don't make it something else. Don't be mad at the next man because he has it different than you. That's his race. That's his life. His life is not perfect either, just like yours isn't. He got other shit going on, just like you got other stuff going on. Don't want to be there with him when you basically don't understand how he been his whole life. Trust me, it's not a great thing, you know, having it so-called what you guys deem to be selective, whatever you want to call it. That's not a great thing overall, bro. Like it's not something that people, oh yeah, man, I get to choose all these women, all these hoes. It's not other. It gets confusing. Women get mad at you easy. I mean, it's not something that you really like, bro. You get pressured. You become boyfriend status off a couple of phone calls. It's not the same thing. It's not what you want, bruh. Everything ain't what you think it is, man. Period. So you run your race, man. That to me, that's manhood. You figure out who you are, your authentic self, and then you run that race. Period. That's it. And guess what? Everybody else is in their own lane. They see you running your own race. Guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna head nod and salute you, bro. Whether we understand it or not. That's true manhood, bro. Because you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing, and I recognize that. And you're standing on your square, man. We should be able to come together on some general man shit and be able to kind of rock on that. But that ain't what these dudes do. That's envy, it's jealousy, it's who this female doing. I mean, come on, bro. Like your focus is. This can't be so-called. To me, that's why I always had a issue with the so-called thing where they say the black manosphere. Once the black manosphere became so focused on the women and focused on what the women were doing.
What they were choosing.
It just fell off
but
the
it's an
rails.
editorial decision, though. It was an editorial decision.
It's I understand that. I understand that, but like. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to allow us to just be what we're going to do. We're going to just basically stay in the cut. We're going to do our programs and keep it on the subject. We're going to keep the main thing, and let everybody else discuss what they discuss. Just don't come over here with that foolishness. That's all.
Yeah, you have to recognize what's going on, man. You have to recognize that these people are isolated everywhere else in society, but algorithmized foolishness. They have to make a way for themselves, and now they want the respect of masculinity with the bullshit that they own, and nobody respects that shit, right? Like nobody respects destroying the space for men, and it's like I get these emails from these people, right? They're not around the right spaces, and they talk about what the black manosphere should be doing. I'm like, cool. What channels are you subscribed to in the black manosphere? And he named off like 2 channels. I'm like, stop. I'm like, do you recognize that you're not even part of the black manosphere? And nor have those people? Like, what do you know about the history of the space that you're a part of? But most of these weak ass men wanted us to fight their fucking personal battles for them with bitches. That's what most of these weak ass motherfuckers wanted. And they fed into that market, and they turned this into R&B and rap music and everything else. It was centered around numbers of weak ass men who need to be coddled. And I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to help those people. They know that they ain't been helped. I ask people, okay, what's the end goal for you, and when do you think that you're full? Couldn't tell me. Just like they couldn't tell me realistic people that they're around in Mansburg, because to them this is chilling to hang out after the work is over. Like to them, oppression is not giving free shit. That's what oppression is to them. Not having or getting the bitch. That's what real oppression is to them. Like they're like, dude, like once I left home, I could barely speak English. Motherfucker, I'm in the military, 17 fucking years old. You know what them grown motherfuckers said? You fuck up anything, we're gonna beat your motherfucking ass. Don't matter whether you're 17 or 117. It's time for you to get up to the actual speed of where we at. Nobody cares about your story. You get us all smoked over some dumb shit, you're gonna get your ass whooped. And guess what? I had to produce from that point on. I had to raise the standards from that point on. Nobody cared about the pity party story. They only cared about the results. To them, they're too scared to have that conversation. Because most of that conversation is a conversation that they're going to keep dodging. And that's what they feel with endless entertainment and foolishness. So you got to be able to just keep moving without them. And guess what? You're going to move without these people anyway. Think about every job you had, every job you lost, every situation you moved on to. You always left motherfuckers behind. You always left motherfuckers that were there. There was always good people who wanted to see shit their way out. And guess what? They still there. Still fucking there. Should have left 15, 16 years ago. Still in marriages, relationships, fucking bum ass cities that they could have left years ago. Man, your goodness is not gonna rub off on anybody. The shit that you put yourself through isn't gonna help you with anything the fuck else. It's just gonna be your loss. And pretty soon, ain't nobody gonna have any sympathy or empathy for you. They're just gonna be like, okay, another person who stayed in a situation for far too long and they should have moved on beyond it. That's all it is. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been on a hiatus, man. I can't even watch a lot of these channels no more. It just turns my stomach. See so many black men going out like this, but hey, that's their choice. Like MOT said, you can't help it. So I'm not gonna waste my time.
Gotta be cool with it. Gotta be cool with it. Dude, you know what I mean? Some of the best, smartest motherfuckers, the most sports, athletic motherfuckers in the neighborhood, the motherfuckers didn't want to go to school. Would have been all-star track athletes, all-star everything. Didn't want to do the fucking. They knew what the shit was, so it wasn't like they didn't know, because the pathway is there. But what do you do with men who can't follow simple fucking directions? What do you do with men like that? I don't know.
Man, I guess give him a passport then. Fuck it,
I don't know. I mean, okay, you become a traveling fuck nigga. You finally get to some ass, and then now you're trying to chase that high. There's people who literally stayed in Germany because they had access to prostitutes, and they never fucking left. And they worked at UPS for 20 years of their fucking life.
I've been here going on 7 years, MOT, and I've never, did the prostitute thing, even though it's free or it's legal here. Never did it.
Oh, I know. Shit. Should I spent 4 years there?
Because it's like, just talk to them. They going.
But I was just about to say that, right? I was just about to say that, right? So you walk by them, they notice you ain't never paid them a dime ever since you've been there. They're gonna be like, "Hey, you come here, let me holler at you for a second." And it's so crazy. Like I said, like certain things that people do, just understand that's just what it is. You're paying to have access. That's all. I mean, it's simple. It's fine. But
you're just transactional, man.
Right. Don't make it more. Don't make it more than that. Don't put a cultural underpinning on it, because once you do that, once you make it something where it's something outside of being transactional, that's where it gets confusing. Because then you're going to start to wonder why she's making the decision that she makes. No, you're paid for a service. You got your service. You keep it pushing. But that's not what's happening. That is not what's happening, bro. Dudes are just so worried about who Keisha is choosing, especially Keisha. Why are you worried about who Keisha is choosing? Why?
You don't want her.
No.
These hoes are on Pop the Balloon show.
MOT, no.
Look at men of substance and just dismiss the fuck out of them for no reason.
I disagree, man. These dudes love Keisha, bro.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
They desire her, bro. They want her to be. Oh, they going, bro.
DC,
their life's accomplishments is to be chose. That's their life's accomplishment. It's to show up with nothing and to be chose.
They lay on the phone with their hand in their face, and with their legs up in the air, watching Keisha. This is how they watch Pop the Balloon. They can't wait.
Put me in the game, coach.
Hours watching shit, 2 hours and talk.
Dissecting.
You believe what she said? You can't believe what she said. This is what was wrong with them. Oh my God.
Dissecting a female's choice to make the same choice. And you can put it down there. It's like a hive mind. So if it's a guy out there that they are extremely attracted to, guess what? That balloon is not gonna get popped, bro. It's not. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is, dog. And you can't.
And no matter how many people out there, somebody's going based on your background. And now that work is now a factor in what women choose, they losing their fucking minds because work is not a factor on none of the shit they ever been on. That's what the real issue is. The real issue is the idea that dudes who put work in on themselves, they somehow getting access because they believe in the pimp hole myth that dudes who get their shit together get the bottom of the barrel, and they have never lived that life. They've never seen that life be actually done, but that's the shit they actually believe in. And you can't do nothing for people who want to live up to an actual idea that they don't believe in. And it's like these same goofy motherfuckers talking about black family. Like these type of motherfuckers are talking about black family. Like what the fuck are you? What? Where were you born to where motherfuckers like you is the standard of masculinity? Then you just got to sit back like, okay, who else is hanging around this shit?
Ain't once talked about their kids, talked about their daughters, their sons.
No.
I mean, it's a total lack of self-awareness, man. Like it's a total lack of self-awareness. It really is, bro.
It's not serious. That's all it is.
Raise your children.
When you talk about family, if you're serious about that, you got to think about what stabilizes family, which is economies, jobs, communities. You know what I mean? And if you're not about unions and stable jobs and stable industries, then you're not really about family. You know what I mean? Right. When these white boys were out here unionizing in the mid 1900s and keeping them all white and all that kind of stuff, that was about family. That was about community. That was about making sure there was constant cash flow. You know, places like New York. I'm from New York. All right. You can't put up a damn sign in New York without dealing with the unions.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's just the way it is. They're going to get a taste because they got to keep stable income coming in so they can keep their finances stable. That's what powers family. So that's what men are supposed to be concerned with. All right. Not concerned with what it feels like and what it looks like. That's a female trait. See, when they turn on, these channels where the men are sitting the women down and giving them a talking to, that's emotion. It has nothing to do with structure. It has nothing to do with, having a stable community and society, which is what you need to undergird family.
That's Clint Eastwood in the chair talking to Obama while he ain't there. Like that's the shit that they're doing online when they're talking to these women and thinking that they're getting through to them by having this cosplay conversation. And it's like, look, man, I think the best ideal in the world is for these dudes not to be getting no ass. I say leave them complaining. I'm like, look, if the best you got is complaining about bitches, then guess what? Mission accomplished. You don't deserve no ass. You should be beating your dick into a meat coma every fucking night when you ain't got your fucking shit together. That's the way shit's supposed to be.
I gotta have Keisha, man. You can't take her away from me, cuz I gotta have her. I got to have her, man. Regardless. I don't care what y'all say. I gotta have her, man. I love her.
Well, you know what's funny, DC? When they be talking with that white woman or them non-black women and they still looking over at Keisha.
Yeah, man.
They still running out over there.
Yeah, how many kids you got?
Armbar on the bitch, running in the shit, still looking at Keisha.
How many abortions she's allowed to have and stuff like that, even though that's something that's been legalized by both sides of the U.S. government. That's what I'm saying. So like, if we're really going to get down to it, then the culture war that you guys were doing and that y'all were standing on, that y'all thought that was going to be basically retrieved. I even heard some people in the space say taking away women's voting. Okay, cool. Then put pressure on the president to do so. I mean, just do
You know what's funny about that, DC? You know what's funny about that? Because when they talk about it,
that's what they argued us down, especially.
Hold on, DC. You know when they say that though? You know what's deep about that? You know what's deep about that? When they say that though, DC, they want white daddy to do it. That's what's funny to me about it. It's not like something they gonna do.
Exactly.
Not them to go organize to do it. Oh hell no.
Exactly.
Them put in work. Oh no.
Exactly right.
No. They want white daddy. White daddy, please.
Exactly right.
Bitch. White daddy, please fix this bitch.
I even heard them say to the point where we are aligned way more with white men than we are with the black community, which would be the other side of it. Because that's what I'm saying. So like, okay, so now you're more aligned with them, so they don't see it that way though. They don't see it.
No, they never do.
So when you say that, you're strictly the helpmate over there on that side. That's to that degree. Because
oh my God,
they allow you to buy into the give me the bitch fantasy, so that way you can act like you're allies with them. Fucking.
So you say DC said the white man's help me?
Yeah. I'm trolling, but to really be honest with you though, the true black conservatives that's over there to hold them to account, to try to hold them up to the standard that they're said to be believing in, they treat them like the enemy of the state. Like Michael Steele, all these people that we don't. No. You can't tell me what to do. I'm telling you what to do. Like, hold on now. I thought we were supposed to be on doing this. So now you're going to import white South Africans in, like they're being done wrong. And you're going to try to hold account to the Hispanic community and the so-called black communities from like Haiti and Cuba and all these other places.
Oh, you're blatant racist.
And this is not, but you're going to give them all the benefits. So you're going to still, because the money that people don't understand, the money that the government shelves out is the money that the government shelves out. So there's a fiscal allotment of money going out to each department within the U.S. government. That money pretty much stays the same because of how our economy is, how robust our economy is. It's going to be pretty high. So the money's going to be spent at a certain level. I don't know, people. That's like general politics that people don't understand about the spending. You can't really limit the spending because we are already at a certain point where spending is going to be done. It's just where you're going to allocate these funds to. So as far as that money, Trump, like, shit, I can give this to some white South Africans. I can have you living. I transfer you here. You don't have to worry about nothing. I got all kinds of money that's allocated, that's free right now. We can free up some money and we can give you a windfall to where you can rub shoulders with us. And then, once you go back home to South Africa, then we can rub shoulders and we can make this thing he's transactional. So in a sense, I don't begrudge that because he wrote a whole book. His whole deal is about how to make a deal. So the presidency is ran in that kind of manner. I don't really have that much of an issue with it. But when you try to politicize it as far as immigration being the so-called thing to be against, it, we're trying to hold on to our laws and bylaws and basically follow script, then why would you have the president go behind your back and do something totally different with the South African issue? He was Gucci up until recently. He really was. He was really Gucci until this kind of showed his old head. So now people can say, well, now this is about race. You see how everything gets thrown into the pot now? Now this is about doing this
really
right.
About race.
But we know this, but I'm saying up until this point, you weren't able to leverage it like you can now. Now it's becoming a political football to where now this is going to be hammered on the right. And the right is not good at making arguments, especially when they're in power. The right is good with making arguments when they're out of power because it's all throwing shit on the wall. They could just throw lies on. They could just do whatever and just have a good old time. Fox don't know what to do sometimes. They're sitting there like, well, because they don't know if they should condemn or support. But they have basically said, you know what, we're just going to support everything that Donald Trump does. So we're going to have to spin it in a certain way. And the problem with that is that when you get a lefty That's why the Sam Cedar thing was so damaging, because I didn't know that Pat Bev was not as informed as he was. Because when he goes in there and just say, well, no, this, well, no, he spent, do you know this? And then he'll start asking, he start giving you a civics class because you're sitting up here talking like you know policy, or you're talking highbrow right stuff. You're not one of these lowbrow right people. You're one of these highbrow right people. So you should be all about policies and what the government is doing and saving money and how the tax rates are going to help out the poor overall, and having Trump as the president is basically be better for America, right? Because that's why you brought him in, to debate him and make him look. You can't give out all the the subsidies to the poor people because they don't know what to do with it. They're going to spend money the wrong way and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, don't you know that's only like 1% of the so-called economy? Like they don't even get anything. Not really, not for real, for real. That money is not really allocated to them like that. It's a very small amount of U.S. funding that goes out to the U.S. government each year that support the so-called people that's on welfare, or whatever you want to call it, to get benefits, not benefits, not like what you think it is. So that's not that many people. And then most of those people are white, by the way, to stay in. So that's the argument. When you give them that argument, they hammer them on. Most of these people are white. Most of these people stay in red states. So you're going to take all that away. What you going to do to supplement those people once you take those benefits away? That's why the Social Security thing became an issue and things of that nature. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I just went on a whole run.
So DC, the thing about Sam Cedar is that it's on purpose that they don't have Sam Cedar or Tom Hartman or David Pakman on TV to go up against these dudes, because they're clearly uninformed. They are a method actor. Their whole thing is algorithmatized foolishness. People who already bought into that. So the people who actually watch these people take their arguments into other places and they get destroyed. So what you see with Sam Cedar is a person going up against competition that never really happens. Right-wing talk radio is ran just like this. And they have a protected society to which they operate from. And black men want that. A protected society to which they want to operate from, that is super easy and turnkey with no competition. And and that's what they want to. But a lot of people don't even know that. The people on the right don't even know what they're talking about. They're not even that skilled, even though they get paid millions of dollars.
The thing is this, here's the thing.
But they normally don't. Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick. The reason they don't know anything because they don't care. You know what I mean? And that's the realization I'm dealing with right now. Like when I'm dealing with these MAGA people in my, over here in the military, the government, they don't care. That's why I'm like, my disposition is shifted. There's no more compromise or talking with them. Now we just got to go to war. We got to outmaneuver people. We got to do what we got to do. Because they tasting white Wakanda right now. They think it's going to happen. Like this is it. We're gonna get white Wakanda now. You know what I mean? They can taste it on OT. Like, you know what I mean? Like, la la. Matter of fact, Shonda H in the chat room said something crazy. And listen, sis, the reason why they don't care about the black collective power, because all they care about is females. They care about you, Shonda. That's what they care about. They don't care about power. All right. They want you.
Right.
All right. They like Uncle Sam. They want you. Okay. All right. That's what they care about. Right. They don't give a damn about no power. They want white daddy to fix you and all the ones like you.
They want the worst of ones fixed, by the way. They don't want the decent of ones fixed. They want the worst of ones fixed.
Dry snitching on a black woman, telling me, you gave her too much power, sir. I can't go. I got no control over my household. If you give her too much power, then I can't say nothing about what she do when she come in the household. She telling me what's what. Because you told her she can go ahead and clean up the house sometimes. And I'm out here on the field, sir, doing a good old job. And I'm saying, I don't ever say nothing bad about you. I never do anything bad. I never do anything good. I'm trying to uphold this. Like, okay, well, Shirley, she's a good old girl.
Can you talk to her for me, sir?
Shirley, a good old girl. She come, lap me up every once in a while, top me off. I love it. And gave me a couple of good kids.
Talk to her for me, sir?
It's sad, really, man. It's. I mean, I'm being facetious, but it's not a good look, man. To look to somebody that is already working the sad part is that the white conservative feel like they're the victims in their own community. So they feel like they're the ones basically getting ran by the libs. So the liberals is basically run America to them in the sense of they're the ones holding the power. But the truth is that they both hold interest on holding power together. But the sad part is that they have been able to leverage Black people against each other. See, we don't see the connective tissue between both groups. And that's where I was hoping that our program can kind of show that a little bit, like the hypocrisy on both sides, but it still just becomes just this thing where the Black men are so hell-bent on controlling Keisha, hell-bent on controlling the Jasmines of the world. Like Jasmine Crockett is your issue, bro.
Oh yeah.
She's your issue. Like she's the main problem. Women like her, regardless of all these eyelashes or whatever she does.
Not Martin Pellegrino.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
She's crazy. She's crazy all our boys. She never at the top of the discussion.
Your focus is so hell bent on these type of women, right?
Yeah.
That you don't gain access to power yourself. Okay, well, cool. If she's an issue, then run a Black man that's in that city, man, that can basically take her seat from her. But what about doing that aligns with your beliefs to a degree, whether it's Republican, Independent, or Democrat? How about trying to do that? Since she's a big issue, she's the problem. They already got Cori Bush out of there. She got pulled out, and Cori Bush, if I'm not mistaken, she got replaced by a Black man in St. Louis.
She did.
Nobody covered it. Nobody covered it. Nobody said anything about it.
Because he's with the wrong. He's a Democrat.
But what I'm saying is that
they got a white daddy now in DC.
What I'm saying is that they got a Black so-called problematic female out of office, right? They primaried her with the help of white people, by the way, to do that. So I don't understand why you don't think it's possible.
Because it wasn't their white daddy. Their white daddy is over there with the orange guy. It's got to be their white daddy. Right? If their white daddy if she ain't down with that, that's why I like Candace Owens. See, Candace Owens is down with their daddy. See what I'm saying? They like her, but they don't like anybody else on the other side. And the funny thing about, when they talk about DEI and the military, actually, I'm actually, you know what? Behind the scenes, I'm gonna send you guys a couple of photos of what this was really about, with the HECSEF and all that kind of stuff. And when you would look at the joint session, when he got the new joint staff there, it was all white males, and they still didn't pick that up. There was a lot of Black male men generals, like General Williams over here. He was in charge of USAR. You got the general out there in Africa. You had Joint Chief of Staff, and then you had Secretary of Defense. This is what that was really about. And it's not just there. It's other parts of the military, MCOM, FORCECOM. There was a bunch of Black men in charge of the actual military. The military that was giving weapons to Ukraine, the military that was supporting Ukraine with intelligence and, and all that kind of stuff, and running maneuvers and out there in the Pacific. These were Black men in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's going there. All right. And none of these Black men were celebrating none of that in this space. That shit bothered the hell out of me because they didn't belong to their white daddy. All right. Now, if Biden was their white daddy, then it would have been all over Black men. But he was not their white daddy. Their white daddy was talking. All right. So this is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not just let me be serious for a second. They cared more about what these white males cared about than caring about their own self-interest. And I'm talking about Black men really in positions of authority, in positions of power, and they didn't care about that. That's the smoking gun. So when we sit here and we joke about how they don't care about power, but it's the truth. They don't give a fuck about power, and that is unmanly. There's no men on the planet that don't care about power. You got people getting off the boat tomorrow, getting off the plane tomorrow with 3 teeth in their mouth. They're going to start a business, create a community, and start working together. That's in America. So there's evidence of this, right? We got to where we are right now, and have it the way we have it right now, and actually make it a place where non-white people can exist through pushing through a lot of things. And that goes back to what I was saying to you earlier, DC. The lack of appreciation, what was done for us, it really hurts to see that the brothers
It's kind
don't
of like
have
lost history at this point.
it's just a general respect of what came before us, the people who created laws so we can buy a house, people who fought against racial covenants. Going back to that showed them, we was talking about earlier, DC, where they was showing the racial covenants jargon. That was across the country. It's not enforceable no more, but you will still find deeds to this day that have racial covenants words in it. This was the existence for Black people. We could not live where we wanted to live. We could not work where we wanted to work. If you don't believe me, just go on YouTube and watch any speech from Eisenhower to John Kennedy. Where's all the Black people in the government? There are none. So where we are right now was work that had taken place, policy that took place, and people had to go into those places, deal with those microaggressions, keep their mouths shut, keep the needle moving, and they don't fucking appreciate it.
The sacrifice of manhood that Black men had to make back in the day to cross the other street, to call a younger child sir, that's maybe like 10 years old, and you're a 50, 60 something year old man, basically just so your ass could live and be here today and do the debauchery that you're doing right now. And then to try to test and say that I would never do what those people did, not noticing the bravery that they did, what they had to do, so you could be here to survive. Don't you know you and they nut sack, and that basically they will be able to basically have children after you, because that person gets hanged that doesn't have. Emmett Till never had children, right? So his whole gone. Medgar Evers had children, but I'm saying that Malcolm X grandson,
how abruptly,
it gets broken. Yeah, exactly. So you could break they know this, by the way. So when you become a problem, oh no, just destroy the whole family. All the men in that family got to get gone. They got to go. Yeah, we just gonna have a good old lynching party. I don't know if you guys seen the movie. Have y'all seen Sinners at all? I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
No.
Anybody on the call? You saw it? Okay. What about you, MOT?
No, sir, I have not seen it yet.
I know
don't ruin it. Do not ruin the movie. Nope, I have not seen it yet.
I would say just go see it. That's all.
We may need.
So where you watch it? Is it in the movie theater? Is it some streaming?
Yeah, it's in the movie theater still.
Yeah, if you want to stream it.
And after
watch it.
Thunderbolts how they run, they're gonna put it back on IMAX.
But Paradox, when you watch it, we need to do an actual session on that. It's the next, because the last movie that we did, I think, is Get Out. Yeah, so we need to do one on Sinners, man. It is very, very, very it's very, very, I would put it like this. It's so prevalent to what's going on right now, especially with Black manhood and how compromised we became and how reckless certain people do. You can see the generational trauma, right? How it echoes. How it echoes. Just to what we just talked about. Because you think a Black man that's 6'3", 250, full of muscle and just solid granite, that's gonna allow a fat 5'5", 5'6" white man that's not even on his level physically to just sit there and disrespect him and just not know that he's basically trying to save generations. Not fully conscious of it, but he understands, if I be reckless in this moment, then they'll basically not just kill me, but they'll kill John. They'll kill my family, my boy.
Yeah. Hey, DC.
They almost think about it. Malcolm X line, he almost got wiped because, if I'm not mistaken, Malcolm X father got killed too, right? Didn't he get killed?
They murdered him. His father got murdered.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a pattern. So that it's
and he got murdered around the same time where the movie set. Just so you know, the movie set in the 1920s.
Oh, okay. Oh,
no,
shit.
1932.
30. I'm sorry. And the guy that the main character is a World War I veteran. So I'll just leave it there.
World War I veteran. Yep, exactly
check
right.
It out. Check it out. It's a lot of shit. I want to get your take on it.
A lot of Black men should go see that movie, bro.
Yeah, man, my grandfather came back from World War II.
Black men should see that movie.
Built a whole city on one leg. Couldn't even get a loan from the bank. Got fucked out of his GI Bill benefits for a while he was doing all this shit for fucking America. He came back, he still wasn't treated as a whole fucking citizen.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And
Unbelievable the
you think
shit
I'm
that we
gonna waste
went
my
through. I was just
time
watching.
living in some shit like that? Oh hell no.
Hey, MOT, I was just watching a black and white video, a promo put out by the government about back in the after World War II with the GI Bill and how they were building out the suburbs and giving no loans and free training, and this is what they were doing for the GIs. It was a promo video, and it was all white males, and this is how they built out the. Like, when I hear these black men talk about pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps on that nonsense, it's nonsense. The suburb was created by the government. It was created by the government. They built the roads and the highways to put these white folks out there, and they put them out there. All right, and you couldn't go out there. Even if you was a veteran, they wouldn't treat you right. We had to fight for that shit, MOT. Black people fought for that.
Oh yeah, I know.
The disrespect from these niggas, man. I swear to God, man. Like I can't be physically around none of these dudes. I couldn't be. I couldn't physically be around none of them. I slapped the shit. I couldn't do it. And I think they saw my face. They wouldn't even talk a certain way around me because it'd be clear. I will punch you in your mouth. I will look left and look right. Ain't nobody no cops around. Right in your throat. Say it again. Say what? Say it again, homie. No. Stand up.
Yeah,
look at my face. Say it again.
I've seen my grandfather do it to a many a man. My grandmother would go over there with that fucking nice and smiling and shit. He'll go over there with that graphite cane, go hit that motherfucker upside the head, and she know to leave the room. And this motherfucker got to go. Weak men should actually make everybody's stomach turn. Because
I'm surprised you haven't seen it though.
For anything.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it, MOT, because it's set in the Mississippi Delta too. I know you probably heard bad things about it, man. You gotta check it out, bro.
Oh no. I know all the history because we have our own libraries down there.
Right.
With books that are not allowed to
be
in
so you gonna love it.
State library.
MOT, they put a lot of history in this, man. You gonna love it. They made Mississippi look so beautiful. Yeah. Go see the movie, bro.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, man, Mississippi is a beautiful ass place, and it's just.
And they captured that very well in the movie. The same way, you know how white boys make movies about old Ireland and old Scotland.
Yeah.
That's why I respected what they did with the movie. It was dope. Go see it, man.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to go see it if it was set in the Delta. I mean, shit.
Hell yeah.
My grandfather made sure if we didn't know anything else, we knew what the history of the area was.
Yeah.
How these things happened, and once the levees broke in the Delta, how they re-enslaved everybody until they got all that shit cleaned up. Dude, there's a lot of shit that happened in Mississippi that nobody fucking know about.
Yeah. So that's why when you listen to somebody like, because I think that when I think back to what Kanye made the statement about slavery being a choice, and I'm like, yeah, it was a choice for you to be here. That's a choice. Mm-hmm. Black people made the courageous choice to swallow the pride and say we're where to survive and have our say so later. Hence the reason why we're still here. It's like I said, man, people would not be here. That's what I'm saying. Like there are generations of black people, ADOS in particular, that would not be here if people took to the level that we are already missing family members.
But here's what they're saying though. They're saying that dying early and us being wiped the fuck out would have been preferable to work. That's what these people are actually saying. They're saying that you should have just ran out there in the street, got killed, so that way we wouldn't hear about those bad times and those bad days. Because the only thing these people want to do is just co-opt whiteness and forget this stuff ever even happened. That's what they actually are saying. And those people were brutally punished down there when it was said. That's why you don't see that red hat bullshit going on down there. So if you're a Republican, you better make sure your ass live within 100-mile radius, not around here. You better make sure you don't come to work around here and none of that shit.
There are black Republicans down there, man. But I get it though. I get it. You can't be
black
on
Republicans,
that
but they don't act like these MAGA dudes.
Yeah,
dudes are all about business, all about family, and F everybody else outside of the situation. Not hard, super simple. Look, you messed up. You got to change your name. You got to leave town. You're affected. You change your name to Smith or Washington or some shit. Get the fuck out of here.
I love
Bye.
that. I love that.
So you have a southern
And
drop.
I saw that viral clip. It's like a 20-second clip of a white maggot dude with the big stomach. He was trying to punk this, I think it was Hispanic Asian dude. I don't know who it was. And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to punch you and I'm going to slap you in your face and knock you the fuck out. And then the little dude pushed the cart aside and was like, oh, I want this. Come on. Come on. And the white boy didn't do nothing. His friend tried to step in and break it up. This is I would say it's a viral clip, man. Y'all got to see it. It's beautiful. It's my kind of energy.
Oh
That's what I'm
my
talking
God.
about. I come
You like
home,
that?
I'm gonna
You
do
like
the same
that?
shit.
He
I've
chose
been waiting
violence.
for you. That's exactly what he said.
He
I've
chose-
been waiting for you. I want this. He said, oh, this is beautiful. This is beam footage right here.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I
He was
mean.
juiced
Like
up on that
at the end of the
OAN
day,
DC in that Newsmax, and he thought he could just talk crazy. And he caught the wrong
Yeah, that's
one.
what it is. That's what it is. You know, they put that shit in their veins so that way they can live.
yeah.
Oh man,
Hey, you remember?
He
You
put the
remember?
card aside. Okay, I'll give you what you want. Let's go.
You remember? Like, there's a couple of parts and centers that kind of remind you of that too, because it's just like you find out you're trying to talk to somebody, you're trying to see how much leeway they're going to give you, right? What kind of black person or what kind of person of color this is that you're going to talk to this way, and see. Because once they call you out, you know you got to get to the violent. You got to get to the doing. Basically, you got to show me.
Yeah.
You got to show and prove. Okay,
And DC, that's what he said to him too on the video. He said, "You got to do it now. You said you're going to do it. Do it." Oh my God, this is beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to y'all. I'm gonna send it to y'all. What's up? I gotta see this shit.
He said you got to do it now.
You got to do it now. Yeah,
What video
you said you were
talking
gonna do it.
about?
Come on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man, I said, man, I watched that video like 40 times. That shit got me amped up. I got through my test. I was in school last week watching that shit.
Right.
I was in a Army Management Staff College class. I had to write my capstone presentation. Man, that shit had woke me right up. I was like, oh my God, I need more of this.
That's crazy.
I loved it. That's what I'm talking about. Fucking soldier.
said you
Oh,
got
I've been
to
waiting
do
on you.
it
I
now.
want this.
Probably
He
one of
looked at
them
me,
MMA
white man in the face, and said, I
Probably
want
one of
this.
them MMA motherfuckers too, bro. He probably like, yeah, I
Oh,
let
yeah,
you
he
get first.
give him that one. His buddy, the other white guy, had a buddy with him and stepped in and said, no, come on now. Let's not have a fight now.
Right.
He
You gotta
was
have
like,
that number. Yeah, you gotta have those numbers with them. That's what they want. They
Kind of
wanna
like
have the-
kind of like Mike Tyson on the plane. You know that dude was talking all the crazy shit until he got them close up jabs, and all of a sudden, things had to be over with.
help.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Mike,
was
you
just
know we was
playing.
Right, we was just playing.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's why they need that mob. That's why they always needed the mob. And
Yeah,
You know,
always
it
need
is
those
what
woman
it is.
numbers. Police
but most
force,
importantly,
Yeah.
we got to get militant and more professional about how we stand up for each other and
Vote.
for ourselves in the
Vote.
workplace. In the workplace, this is where the business is at. Because right now, that's the next move. I had an argument with Gabe A about this on somebody's stream. I forgot, about a year ago. And he was like, well, I'll just go get another job. And I said, all right, and the same bullshit's going on in the next job. In the next job, when you gonna just keep moving jobs, at what point do you stand? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that mentality, And I ain't got nothing against Gabe A, but I thought that was some bullshit. Like, you can't just keep running. You want to
But some
understand.
people want to dismiss the issue though by saying that you can run. Like when people want to dismiss the issue of how bad things were, like, yeah, man, the only thing you had to do was just stand up to them, and they'll stop. And I'm like, dude, this is a system you're talking about here. You're making it seem like one actual action from a person getting destroyed, and there were many that are not historically named. They're trying to make everybody look like cowards. It's like, no, man, that stuff turned into a survival mechanism down there of planning and doing things. And a lot of people just decided, you know what, entertainment and buck dancing cooning is just better, much easier.
But when it comes to this Fortune 500, when it comes to the Fortune 100s, when it comes to the government, we got the collectivism has to come into play. We have to stand up for each other. You got to create a defense mechanism, for ourselves. That's why I was telling I'll give you an example real quick. At a homeboy, I was in the conference room. They were talking crazy to him. And I told him on the way out, I said, look, make sure you document everything that happened to them. And he didn't do it. Just stuff like that. Because then
Yeah.
when somebody like me come along and I have to have the same fights, I have collective ammunition. I have a pattern I can put up. You know what I mean? I can say, hey, this happened to so and so on this date, this is what happened. Here's his statement. I got this other person. You know what I mean? Because then somebody like me, because you might not be like me, right? But you can at least document what happened. That's why. So every time I talk to black people now, I'm like, yo, you document shit, document everything that happens. Trust me, it comes into
Hey,
play
look,
later on. You know what I
I
mean?
sue
Just
corporate
simple
America
shit
a
like
lot of
that.
times and won because you can't really fight somebody with a law enforcement background who's gonna give you that fucking smoke. I don't care how
Right.
much shit y'all motherfuckers are on. Guess what's not gonna happen? When they cross-examine your motherfucking ass, HR is not gonna be there. They're gonna ask you straightforward questions that you're gonna give straightforward answers to. But again, man, like a lot of this outside the liquor store until 12 o'clock p.m. fucking DNA niggas are fucking shit up. They're the one who mad that they can't go off and recklessly create a family. I think it's a good deal, man. Let this shit die with them, and we'll just do some other shit.
He says a good
Team up
deal.
with
I
other
like
people who's about that fucking fight. Because I'd be damned if my grandfather laid down his life during this time, father laid down his life during this time, to be here around these wishy-washy ass motherfuckers and not say some shit about it. The
Right.
same shit happened down there during that time. Only like 33% of the people wanted the civil rights movement. It wasn't that many fucking people, but once the shit was over with and it was successful, nearly 100% of the people said that they was involved with it. Like that's the
Right.
shit my grandfather had to tell me about, and I'm like, why would they want to come out later? Because it's like because the work has already been done with somebody else, and you're gonna see this shit all your life.
Yeah.
They're only coming around when the work's done.
Yeah. Oh shit, man. Yeah, it's getting late over here. Let me hop off of here, man. Good talking it up with y'all.
Jay Sean, give me a call, man, so that way I can be able to have you on for 101.
Okay. Okay. We could do that.
Yeah.
We could definitely do that.
Peace out.
Yeah, you Paradox and you, man, y'all go see the movie, man. Y'all gotta see this movie. It's a good joke. It's a good joint.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
we'll
lie to
we'll
you.
do a we'll do a review of it once he
Yeah,
goes
so
see it.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to get MOT's take on this movie. You know,
Yeah.
All right.
because
Yeah,
since he
we'll
grew up
do
in that area.
we'll do
Yeah.
a
So
review
anyway,
of it.
man, thanks for letting me come up, DC, man. Y'all be good, man. Paradox, if you still awake, man, peace. And y'all be
Appreciate it.
good,
All
man.
right.
Thanks, Jay Sean, for coming
All
on.
right. Yeah, man, I
MOT, you
gotta
got
go
your
like
final
in 10
thoughts?
minutes.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
man, my final thoughts is, man, like people don't know about areas that's created by the government. I'm right now leaving from Sun Valley, Idaho. I mean, it looked like Vail and Steamboat Springs up here. Guess how many black people you see up here? Nothing. This shit was totally, completely created by the government. And it's like 75 miles north of Twin Falls, Idaho, in Idaho. And I'm like, panoramic mountain views, and none of these people work. None of them. All these people are on some government assistance of some type because there ain't no jobs up here. All this stuff, like you said, this is not about the resource coming and going. It is about allocation. The African whites coming over here is about allocation. Wrongful allocation. Giving people a struggle story that they didn't have to show you just in your face what you're going to do about it. And all I got to say is this. Look, you're responsible for the area to which you actually live in. If you decided to bow down to some bullshit in the area to which you live, you should not be even talking about politics at all. Period. So politics is for the participators. Thanks for having me on, man.
Appreciate it. Have a good one. DC, you still there? Can you hear me? Yo, test, test, test. Can you hear me? DC. DC, did you drop off? I can't hear you.
No, I'm still hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'm back.
Cool.
Did you have any final thoughts you want to give?
Nope.
All right,
That's all I got.
so yeah, man. So we can go ahead and finish up, man. I gotta get this little one here taken care of. We're gonna probably go to the park or something. It's nice outside today. It's a beautiful day outside.
All right, it's the Code Breakers. This is Paradox.
And this is D. Until next time, peace.